those years as a superhero in Marvel. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 901, Killing 3 Birds with 1 Stone. Make the Earth important. We can do something, we can. What do you think, Star-Lord? Leiji asked Star-Lord very seriously. As far as you know, what kind of entertainment activities do the Nova Corps usually have during their rest time? Can it be compared with those on our Earth? This is not just a simple game. It may be related to the basic strategy of Earth civilization for the next few hundred or even 1,000 years. The universe is very dangerous. I am from Earth. I don't want my hometown to be in danger of collapse at any time. Let's be honest, we want to find a backer for Earth. And the Nova Corps is a good choice. To be honest, there is also a descendant of the Nova Corps on Earth. His name is Sam, and his father is Richard Rider. Have you heard of this person? Richard. Star-Lord repeated the name in an incredible tone. Richard Rider. God? He is a legend in the Nova Corps. More than 20 years ago, he thwarted Thanos' plan to destroy a galaxy's civilization. He even almost caught Thanos. He and his teammates drove the aliens and Zerg into the negative space and eliminated the Zerg crisis, an alien invasion in the galaxy. His status in the Nova Corps is even higher than Captain Rogers on Earth. Every new member joining the Nova Corps must read Richard's story. To this day, there is a statue of him in the Nova Corps, in the square of the Nova Corps headquarters. Everyone who enters the Nova Corps headquarters can see the statue, which is to commemorate his great achievements. But he retired at the peak of his glory, and no one knows where he went. It's a pity that I didn't really fight side by side with him. But his legend has been circulated in the Nova Corps. You mean he's actually an Earthling? Can I meet him? Leiji was a little surprised. He didn't expect that the father of the toilet-headed boy was such a legendary figure. He was actually a superhero whose reputation shocked the galaxy. In this way, the toilet-headed boy can be considered to have a prominent family background. It seems that he is not too high class if he wants to date Mindy. Hearing Star-Lord's question, Leiji shook his head regretfully. We never thought that Sam's father was so important. Unfortunately, when we knew about Sam, his father had been missing for a long time. No one knew where he went. But it seems that Sam inherited Richard's abilities and equipment, but it seems that it is not worth mentioning compared to his father. A legendary figure who can force Thanos' army to retreat out of a galaxy and led his companions to defeat the Zerg, an alien, must be very outstanding. With Sam's ability to be forced into panic by Mindy and Laura, he is probably not even 1% of his father's. It's normal. I guess it's because he has not received formal training. Maybe Richard doesn't want to involve his children in endless disputes. His disappearance may also be due to this. He has too many enemies in the universe, and he may not want to implicate his family, so he left. And he also left his Nova helmet to Sam. This is probably to give Sam a chance to choose. Star-Lord guessed so, but Leiji didn't want to delve into this issue. Because the two of them were just guessing, Leiji thought that he might need to talk to Sam about his father if he had the chance. If Richard had such a high status in the Nova Corps, maybe his whole plan would go more smoothly. And he might even be able to help Sam find his father. But this hope was slim, because there was no clue about this matter yet. This could only be put on the to-do list. However, Star-Lord seemed to be more concerned about this matter. He said to himself, maybe I should report this to the Corps. They have been looking for Richard for many years. Now maybe we can get some information from Sam. Maybe they are willing to train Sam to become a new supernova. Leiji signaled Star-Lord to stop. We need to ask Sam's opinion on this matter. This is a choice he needs to make. We have no right to make any choices for his life. Star-Lord nodded. You are right. Okay, let's get back to what just happened. You said the entertainment and food of the Nova Corps? Well, it's terrible. I went to the headquarters of the Nova Corps for a while and it was boring. They provide some simple fighting games. I think this is another kind of training rather than a game. As for the food, it's terrible. In fact, the members of the Nova Corps themselves don't like to eat very much, but they really can't get a good cook. Why? Leiji was a little interested in this. Because the young people who join the Nova Corps are all aiming to become super soldiers. Who wants to be a chef? Who wants to specialize in cooking? Logistics is just a stepping stone in their eyes. Star-Lord said as a matter of course. Li Ji understood a little bit. It seemed that they were a group of people who were very motivated. They were unwilling to be trapped in the kitchen, so they must be trying to show off in various ways. And they probably didn't want to cook even if they could make delicious food. They were afraid that if they did well, the higher-ups would say, you will be a cook for the rest of your life. In this case, their dream of becoming a super soldier of the Nova Corps would probably be shattered. However, this problem is not difficult to solve. The various semi-finished dishes developed on Earth can make a person who knows nothing about cooking look like a chef. Then we need to have a good chat about what everyone in the Nova Corps likes. What do they like to eat and what do they like to play? Maybe the games on Earth are not very suitable for their taste, but it doesn't matter. We can design games according to their preferences, and even shoot movies. Li Ji already had an idea in his mind. For example, the legendary story of Richard you just mentioned. You can tell it in detail, and we can make this game for the Nova Corps. Make Richard's story into a game to motivate the young people who have just joined the Corps. Even make it into a movie so that more people know him. This is also meaningful for the Earth, because Richard is an Earthling. Li Ji thought so, even if it cost hundreds of millions or even billions of dollars, this matter must be done. It is not easy to have such a breakthrough in cultural propaganda. And Li Ji also said to Star-Lord in a persuasive way, Kiel, if you are willing to help the Earth, we will be very grateful to you. And we will provide assistance to you and the Guardians of the Galaxy within our capabilities. You see, our technological level and military strength are not the kind of level that will collapse at the touch of a button. Quill thought carefully about what Li Ji said. In fact, Star-Lord did not object to letting the Earth take over the logistics and entertainment of the Nova Corps. Because the Nova Corps did a really bad job in this regard, of course, this is the enjoyment they have enjoyed in the Defender Starport during this period. Compared with other forces, the Nova Corps is still great. If the Earth can provide various cultural and entertainment facilities and various delicious foods, it will be a good thing for the Nova Corps. And this is naturally good for the Earth. Because as long as the Earth becomes the entertainment and logistics supplier of the Nova Corps, it is equivalent to holding the thigh of the Nova Corps. In this way, the Earth civilization will undoubtedly have an extra guarantee in this dangerous universe. This is a win-win situation. No, it should be said to be a win-win situation. Because Star-Lord Quill also considered the impact of this incident on himself. The Guardians of the Galaxy have always been non-staff members of the Nova Corps. They are important and unimportant. Sometimes the Corps will cover the problems of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and sometimes they will let them take the blame. Star-Lord is naturally grateful that the Corps helps him, but he doesn't like it when the Corps takes the blame. Everyone is born with the ability to seek benefits and avoid harm. So Star-Lord Quill led his men to do things in the galaxy, in fact, to improve his status within the Corps. Because for Star-Lord Quill, if he doesn't do well in his temporary job in the Nova Corps, then there will be a terrible consequence waiting for him. Because he and his father have an agreement. And this terrible consequence is to go back and inherit the throne of the Spartan Space Empire and become the ruler of this space empire. Thinking of this, Star-Lord couldn't help but shudder. This consequence is too terrible. He has to find a way to keep and improve his temporary status, so thinking of this, Star-Lord has already made up his mind. Chapter 902, Nova Corps Homesteading Project. Since Star-Lord Quill has already made up his mind, the rest of the matter is easy to discuss. Because Li Ji and Quill have the same goal to some extent. Although the details and pursuits are different, the two can still keep the same pace in the general direction. Just like the benefit of killing 3 birds with 1 stone that Star-Lord Quill just thought of, how could Li Ji not think of it? Star-Lord is a smart man, and Li Ji is not a fool. This matter is good for the Earth, the Nova Corps and Star-Lord himself. So Li Ji and Star-Lord Quill started a very deep conversation. Quill talked about the composition of most members of the Nova Corps and their preferences. Although people from each civilization are different, there are always some common points that are suitable for intersection. And Li Ji does not require all members of the Nova Corps to like all the surfaces of the Earth. As long as 30% of them are completely addicted to the surfaces of the Earth, like Star-Lord and his people, 20% of them like the surfaces of the Earth moderately, and another 20% of them like the surfaces of the Earth slightly. Then Li Ji feels that the goal has been achieved. Do you like novels and TV movies about the Earth? Do you like those extremely interesting games? Raise your hands and tell me loudly. Don't you want to watch the second part of Westworld? Don't you plan to watch the finale of A Song of Ice and Fire? Hey, you're reading a novel at a certain point, but the author has already entered the weekly update state, right? Don't you want to see the end? Also, don't you want to play the sequel of The Legend of Zelda? And Star Citizen, which is still selling ships and not ready for the market, etc. If we want these things you'd like to continue, what is our goal? That's right. Protect the Earth. In order to carry out our hobbies and to protect your wives, paper people, we came together. What is our slogan? That's right. All comic fans are one family. Lee Ji imagined the future scene of the Nova Corps like this. Well, the style of painting seems a bit wrong. Will this group of people become a group of autogus? It shouldn't be. After all, they are all iron-blooded warriors, and they should be able to tell the difference between paperman wives and real wives. They are still very different from Heisei autogus. We will give you the right to sell all the services on Earth. Lee Ji said to Star-Lord, this is a mutually beneficial thing. I think if the entertainment services on Earth can help the Nova Corps, it will also be very beneficial to you. Sometimes, there is no need to hide things like the exchange of interests. Star-Lord is not stupid, and he knows very well that this is an exchange of interests for Lee Ji. He can benefit from it, but the price is probably to become an advocate for the entertainment culture of Earth. But what's the matter? Don't say there is interest. Even if there is no interest, Star-Lord is still a free advocate. He likes these things and wants more people to have the same interests as him. Only in this way can he easily find someone to play Just Dance and Mario Kart 8 with him. Based on the information you provided, we will find someone to make some entertainment products that are suitable for the Nova Corps. You also need to help review them, including video games, comic novels, movies, etc. We also need to make translations of the galactic common language promoted by the Nova Corps. Lee Ji used a notebook to record all the information provided by Star-Lord. It contains the flavors that most of the Nova members like. It is said that the most popular dish of the Nova Corps is called something called chalcase jelly. It is said that it is a dessert made by chopping some insects and boiling them and then cooling them. According to Star-Lord, the taste of this thing is between milk pudding and jelly, but the taste is definitely not as good as jelly. If the chef who cooked the dish today is in a bad mood and just makes it casually, then you are likely to eat a complete insect corpse in this jelly. Lee Ji felt like vomiting just thinking about the appearance of this thing. He would rather spend a few dollars on a bag of strawberry jelly made of pigments and flavors that does not contain strawberries at the roadside, and would never eat this pure natural chalcase jelly. Lee Ji decided to set up a food research and development department in a while, which is responsible for the research and development of various semi-finished dishes that meet the taste of the Nova Corps. It only needs simple heating, or even completely ready-to-eat food. After all, some people can do without any entertainment, but everyone has to eat, right? As for Lee Ji's suggestion to use food as the first breakthrough point to break through the Nova Corps defenses, Star-Lord agreed. So do we need to promote these foods in the Corps? Quill asked, say I found a great food agent on Earth who can make very good food for the Corps? And then introduce entertainment mechanisms. Lee Ji hurriedly shook his head, no. You can't do this. Why? Because if we rush to deliver it to the door, we will be in a disadvantageous position. You need to make them beg you to ask where these things come from, how to buy them, how much they cost, whether they can be shipped, etc. You need to reverse the supply and demand relationship so that we can maximize our profits. Lee Ji used his way of thinking to influence Star-Lord. If you want to make the leader of the Nova Corps fall in love with the food on Earth, whether it's Hong Kong-style barbecued pork or Spanish ham, or German beer or British fish and chips, as long as she feels that he can't eat without these foods, life has no meaning. Then is the one who provides these foods, you, Star-Lord Quill. Do you think your importance will be greatly increased? We promise that this project will be completely contracted by you. You are the only contractor. Star-Lord felt that what Lee Ji said made sense, including entertainment projects should actually be operated in this way. It should be to give the Nova Corps a little sweetness first, and then let them trace the source of these things. For example, show them incomplete American dramas or Japanese animations. Let them think about how to urge for updates every day, just like Rocket Raccoon. This is the only way to maximize the benefits of this matter. And this time the Chitauri's attack on the Earth may be a good opportunity. Lee Ji smiled at Star-Lord and said, come closer, I have a plan. This way, this way, this way. Do you understand? Star-Lord was in awe after hearing this, And he gave a thumbs up and said, "Great. Really great." When Li Ji and Star-Lord had settled everything, they said goodbye to each other happily. Star-Lord needed to discuss with his partners whether it was time to improve the status of the Guardians of the Galaxy in the Nova Corps. And Li Ji also needed to be busy about opening a space catering training class and a food processing factory. This time, it really depends on food and entertainment to save the world. Li Ji felt that as a chef, he had a long way to go. P.S. There was a place in the last chapter that I forgot to note. That was about the relationship between Richard and Sam. In the comics, Richard is not Sam's father. Sam's father is Jesse. But in view of the large number of characters in this book, I merged the roles of these two people. Richard and Jesse were merged into one person. This makes the father-son game between Richard and Sam more legendary. And it is more conducive to the development of the story of this book on the timeline. After all, Marvel Comics can leave a hole unfilled for decades, and then suddenly fill it up in the last few decades, and their comics don't have a grand ending. But I can't do that for a novel. Our book has to have a grand ending, and the timeline is a little clearer. So, this is a small change. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 903, Sam, the rising star who was completely corrupted by the gentle countryside. Fainted many obstacles. A clear female voice sounded in the night watch base. Mindy and Laura were happily playing the Harry Potter role-playing game. Mindy played Harry and Laura played Hermione. As for Ron, because the actor was too ugly, Mindy and Laura did not plan to play this role. Standing opposite the two girls was Sam, the toilet boy rising star who is responsible for playing Voldemort. Since he was caught by the father's Avengers and tortured last time, this child has become more self-conscious. Several fathers have understood the relationship between this child and Mindy and Laura. This kid is whimsically wanting to pick up two girls, but he is stupid. Every day he is played around by Mindy and Laura. Later, several old adults finally confirmed that everything was the kid's wishful thinking. Mindy and Laura are very smart. They just found a free volunteer and errand boy. As long as Mindy blinks her beautiful big eyes at Sam and gently says, "Thank you, Sam," the 15-year-old boy will be so happy that he doesn't know what to do. Mindy and Laura, who are already 14 years old, are beginning to move towards the direction of being girls. Their fathers all think that it is a good choice to let the silly Sam make friends with the two girls. He is not that smart, and he is also honest. He looks ordinary, but his facial features are regular and he's a little better looking than ordinary passers-by. Girls need some high-quality friends of the opposite sex when they reach puberty. This will help them to make reasonable judgments and choose boyfriends in the future, instead of simply sticking to handsome guys when they see them. Only by understanding what kind of virtue a man has can you take fewer detours in your future life. The above content comes from the explanation of Wolverine Logan. Even Li Ji was shocked at the time. When did Logan have such a deep thought? This is a professional level education guide for adolescent puberty. Later, I learned that these things were not made up by Logan. It was because he had a pair of children, but he didn't know how to be a father. So he could only ask Dr. Jean Grey, who had a lot of experience in raising children and was Professor Charles' successor in education. These were all said by Jean, and Logan thought they made sense, so he wrote them down. He felt that his son Dakin had too little contact with the opposite sex during adolescence, which led to his impulsiveness and mistakes, and even caused the closure of Xavier's School for the Gifted. Although the school has now reopened in Tuvalu. But in order to prevent his daughter from going the same bad route as her brother, Logan felt that he needed to train her well. So after a group of people's inspections, the teenager Sam agreed to let him be a playmate of the two girls. At that time, Sam was very excited. Am I recognized? The boy's heart was surging, and he was also thinking wildly. He certainly didn't know the truth of the matter, but sometimes it's good not to know the truth, isn't it? When talking about girls' interactions with the opposite sex during adolescence, Dr. Jean Grey also mentioned the interactions of men with the opposite sex during adolescence. Of course, boys also need some friends of the opposite sex. This is very important and helps to cultivate their self-confidence. It is still very important for men to get attention from the opposite sex and build confidence. This is why the football and basketball teams in school are always the objects that boys both admire and hate. Jean Grey said at the time. Because they know how handsome those boys are when they sweat on the field, and how many eyes they can attract from the opposite sex. So male adolescents should also make friends with some opposite sex. It doesn't have to be a boyfriend-girlfriend relationship, just being friends is also good. But we need to grasp the scale here. If they stay with the most outstanding girls for a long time, but their own conditions are not extremely outstanding, they need to be adjusted and educated. In order to avoid excessive vanity, excessive self-expansion will lead to lack of recognition of reality, and thus a wrong deviation in the outlook on life and love choices. Of course, these can be adjusted. It just needs proper guidance and education. Maybe he can still attract those outstanding girls. Well, this paragraph is not what Logan said. As for guiding and educating Sam? Forget it, I'm not a parenting expert. Why bother about such things? Just take care of your own daughter. It's already a very good thing to let Sam, a boy, play with beautiful girls like Mindy and Laura. How dare you ask for anything else? Watch out for my claws. Wolverine Logan also has his own little thoughts. But these little thoughts as a father really can't be told to others. Anyway, Sam is silly and happy. Just like now, he played Voldemort and was pretended to be knocked unconscious by Mindy and Laura with two special wands. This kind of wand can release an illusion similar to a full 3D projection from the top. It looks like a real wand releasing magic. But it's just an illusion, specially used for fun. This is a gadget that Spider-Man and hacker Zheng Chu developed together in their spare time. The reason is that Peter Parker felt that every time George, Gwen's father, summoned him with his spider lamp, other people couldn't see that special spectrum. It would be great if he could use the night owl lamp to deter criminals like the night owl. And when this idea came to mind, Peter planned to realize it. So he and the hacker made this gadget together, which can be installed on his belt, so that he can use his belt to emit spider patterns every time he attacks. It has 1024 levels of light colors built in, and there are 36 different spider patterns for Peter to choose from. This combination allows Peter to use different spider patterns every day for several years. When making this thing, he also made a few Harry Potter ones for everyone to play with. Sam, Mindy and Laura have already made an appointment to take these 3 special ones to participate in the New York Comic Con this year. They will cost the characters in Harry Potter, and then shock the cosers holding the fake ones to death. While Sam and the 2 girls were having a lot of fun, Li Ji walked into the base with a dozen project plans. He first found the hacker Zheng Chu. Can the things in this project plan be made? Is this a game? Aren't we a superhero organization? Why are we starting to switch to a game production studio? Zheng Chu was a little confused. Well, it's hard to explain. Actually, making games and saving the world are actually the same thing. Li Ji patted the hacker on the shoulder and said, I remember you can make these things. If you can, I can, but I'm afraid we need to find a few people to form a team to complete the workload in this plan. Spider-Man definitely doesn't have time. Maybe we need to find someone from outside to join in. Zheng Chu didn't know the meaning of this game, so he didn't know whether it needed to be kept secret. Li Ji thought for a while, and then said, I'll talk to Iron Man and ask him to support Jarvis' computing power. In this way, I think it should be able to replace at least 100 programmers. The hacker smacked his lips. It's just a game. Is it really necessary to save the world? Li Ji looked at Sam, who was having a lot of fun with the 2 girls, and said softly, how is this kid recently? Very good, but he has been completely conquered by Mindy now. He was confused by Hit Girl. He probably even forgot what his father's name was. This is probably what it means to be happy here and not miss the outside world. The hacker looked completely pessimistic about this young man with rising star abilities. Li Ji shook his head. It was true. The land of gentleness is the grave of heroes. But Mindy and Laura are not the land of gentleness now. Sam, you are so useless. Li Ji thought of the story of Sam's father told by Star-Lord, and he sighed. He walked towards Sam, and directly dragged him from the 2 girls and said, Boy, come here. I have something to tell you. Chapter 904, Crossroads of Life. Just like holding a little chicken, Li Ji grabbed Sam by the back of his shirt and dragged him away from between the 2 girls. Mindy shouted to Li Ji, remember to return him later. We are still rehearsing for the cosplay at the New York Comic Con. He plays an important role as Voldemort. Li Ji waved his hand and said, got it, I will return your important props later. Lee Ji could see that for Mindy, Sam's role as an important prop and tool was greater than that of a friend of the opposite sex. Now that Voldemort was dragged away by the Night Walker, Harry Potter and Hermione Granger could not join forces to defeat Voldemort with magic for the time being. So Harry and Hermione could only decide to go back to the room and have afternoon tea. The English dessert that Sam had just bought from London not long ago was paired with a cup of hazelnut milk tea. This afternoon tea was great. Well, by the way, you can also build the Lego Ninjago movie set, the shark pepper robot of the Kathmandu Demon King. So Mindy took Laura's hand and said hello to Lee Ji and prepared to leave. Laura kindly said to Sam, "Come over for dessert later. I'll save some macaroons for you." Mindy whispered to Laura, "Huh? Are you serious?" Laura nodded gently and replied in the same whisper, "Yes, neither of us likes macaroons. They are too sweet, and they can't be eaten by my dad or your dad. Eating too much sugar can easily cause 3 highs, and older people need to control the sugar in their diet. Hakar is even worse. He is already a fat man, and eating too many macaroons will cause diabetes. Spider-Man is not here, and Nightcrawler doesn't like sweets. It's a waste to throw away those macaroons. A small piece of macaroon costs several dollars. Let Sam get rid of them." Laura said this with a serious expression on her little face. It doesn't seem like she is using Sam as a food waste disposer at all. Mindy nodded and gave Laura a thumbs up, praising her. What a thrifty girl. The two girls went back to the room hand in hand. Only Sam, who was dragged away by Lee Ji, was still giggling. This boy was so beautiful that his nose was bubbling. "Hey, young man." Lee Ji really couldn't bear to drive Sam out of his fantasy world. After all, everyone has a period of middle school, and it is obvious that Xinxing is now in this period of middle school full of fantasy. He is no different from those 24K Purex Silk who think whether the other party likes me or has a crush on me when they see a beautiful girl smile at them. This is not conducive to the physical and mental development of teenagers. Lee Ji dragged Sam into a single room and closed the door. He pressed him on the seat, threw a pack of napkins on his face and said, "Wipe your snot bubbles, look at your lack of ambition." Hearing Lee Ji say this, Sam immediately tidied his appearance. "I'm not a handsome guy to begin with, and if I'm still sloppy, then I have no chance to win the favor of girls." Sam thought so. Lee Ji didn't say much nonsense to Sam, who is always full of love. He just stood there and watched Sam clean himself up and asked directly, "What do you think about your future, Sam?" "What? Sorry, sir. What are you talking about?" Sam was a little confused by Lee Ji's sudden question. Because the tone of the Night Walker was like the principal of his school. This year Sam is in a period of going to school. The town of Worry-Free in Arizona, where he lives, is a small place with a population of less than 10,000 people. It is a veritable American countryside. There are elementary schools, junior high schools and high schools in the town. But for the school where Sam is currently studying, if he continues to go to the local high school, he will definitely not be able to go to college in the future. Unless he can pay the high full tuition to go to a second-rate or even third-rate university. So Sam's current principal called all the children in Sam's group to talk. If you don't plan to go to college in the future, then just stay in school until high school. After all, public schools basically have no tuition. The only thing you have to pay is a small amount of lunch. If you want to go to college, and want to go to a better college, then you have to find a way to transfer to a good high school in a nearby big city, which requires money. The local principal is a good person. He said he can help students contact his connections in the education system, and transfers are mostly possible. If you don't want to go to college or high school, there is a very good technical school in a nearby city. The tuition is much more expensive than that of ordinary high schools. But you can learn a good technology and find a job after graduation, which is much better than high school students who know nothing. If you work hard, you can at least be a middle-class blue-collar worker. So although Sam is only 15 years old, in fact, his life has already reached the first fork in the road of choice. Go to a local high school and spend 3 years without worries, and then go out to find a low-paid waiter job in a pizza restaurant. Or work hard and strive to go to a good university. In order to get a decent and high-paying job after graduating from college. Or he could go to a technical school for further study for a few years and then become a skilled worker with a stable salary. Sam had 3 forks in his life. In fact, he was a little overwhelmed, and Sam's mother did not force Sam to choose one. She just told Sam, "You are already 15 years old, and you will be 16 in a year. At the age of 16, you can take a driver's license. In a sense, you are almost an adult. You need to make your own choice. What do you like? Going to college is good. It can enrich your mind and make you decent in the future. Going to a local high school is also good. You will live a simple life without so much pressure. Finding a simple job at a gas station can also support a family. If you choose to be a skilled worker, that's great. At least you don't have to worry about unemployment." Sam's mother made the problem very clear and straightforward. Any choice has advantages and disadvantages. The key is whether you want the benefits so much, and whether you can bear the disadvantages of those choices in your future life. I can't choose your life path for you. I can only tell you that every choice has its pros and cons. There is no saying that a certain choice is necessarily correct. The final choice is in your hands. Sam's mother said so. So when Lee Ji asked Sam what choice he should make for the future, he was a little stunned. It seemed that he was facing his principal again and asked about his future choices. Sam said hesitantly, He shook his head, "I don't know." Lee Ji really wanted to punch this boy on the head. A boy who doesn't even know how to think about his own future is now inexplicably addicted to beauty and can't extricate himself. "I'm not very good at studying, and my grades are just average. I'm afraid it will be difficult for me to go to a first-class university. The tuition for technical schools is too expensive. With only my mother's income, we may not be able to pay for the tuition for several years, and the bank may not be willing to provide us with a loan. But I don't want to have to do those simple jobs at gas stations or fast food restaurants in the future." Sam didn't know how to choose. But now it seems that the only way in front of me is to muddle through these 3 years of high school and find a simple job in the future. I don't know what to do. Sam was a little depressed. Lee Ji shook his head helplessly. "Are you going to waste the inheritance your father left you like this? Except for this helmet, he didn't leave anything. Not a penny." Sam's tone was still not very good when talking about his father. Even if the stories his father told were true and he was indeed a superhero, he disappeared now. And he didn't leave anything really useful. The burden of the family fell on his mother, and Sam had to deliver newspapers early every morning to earn some pocket money. And every time Mindy ran errands for him, Mindy would always generously leave the extra change, sometimes $7 or $8, sometimes more than $10, to Sam, and never asked him for it. This made Sam's life a little better. $10 is not a small amount of money for him. This can buy several liters of milk plus 2 boxes of eggs and some fruits. Heroic deeds are very inspiring, but after all, heroic deeds cannot be eaten. So maybe his father was a hero before, but this can't change the reality that Sam's family is in a relatively poor situation. Especially after he disappeared, the family's financial situation became more and more difficult. Every month, the day of paying the bills is the most difficult day for the family. Sam has tried countless times to get some money back with his own ability. For him now, this is easy. But he has never done it. Maybe it's because of his mother's teaching since childhood, or because of his father's heroic stories. Sam would rather deliver newspapers every morning to earn some money, and he doesn't want to use any illegal means to get a large sum of money at one time. People always have to have a little backbone and moral code of conduct when they live. My father may have left a lot of help to others, but he didn't help us. We have to worry about the bank bill every month. Sam said this a little indignantly. Lee Ji pointed at the Nova helmet that Sam put aside and said, "But you still chose to wear this helmet, didn't you? You chose to inherit your father's abilities. Do you want to be a real hero?" "I want to." Sam had almost no hesitation, but he quickly said, "But I also want to make my family life better. I have a mother and a sister, and I need to support them. Maybe next year I won't wear this helmet anymore, and I won't come here. By then I'll be 16 years old, and I can find some higher paying jobs. But those jobs may take up all my time." Lee Ji touched his chin and said after some hesitation, "Okay, Sam. You're a big boy now. I think maybe the legacy your father left you is not just a helmet. In fact, I have news to tell you about the Nova Corps. I found them." Sam widened his eyes in disbelief. Chapter 905, Nova Corps Reserve. Your father holds a high position in the Nova Corps. He is a super awesome figure who dominates the galaxy. Do you know Thanos? Oh, you don't know that purple monster. It doesn't matter if you don't know, just know that this guy is awesome. He is probably the most awesome supervillain in the universe. Your father has defeated him. Your father's position and influence in the Nova Corps is like Captain Rogers' position and influence in the U.S. Army. Sam listened to Lee Ji talking about his father's past and felt a little unreal. Although his bedtime stories when he was a child were all told by his father, and most of them were stories about how brave he was back then. But it was inevitable that what he said was a little bit of bragging by Sam. Especially when Sam grew up and began to stop believing those stories. It was not until his father disappeared and he inherited his father's helmet that he slowly believed what his father said. But this still could not change some of his old views on his father. After all, when Sam clearly knew his father, he was more often just a school janitor who was often drunk, responsible for repairing the school's toilets and broken light bulbs. With a meager salary of $2,000 a month, he looks like a very failed middle-aged man. How can you let Sam connect this decadent middle-aged man with a great hero that Lee Ji said? So it's not surprising that Sam raised some doubts. Just like now. After listening to Lee Ji's story, he couldn't help asking, "Are you telling the truth?" "Of course it's true." Lee Ji confirmed, "I'm telling the truth. In fact, I heard this news from your father's comrades. Star-Lord and others can be considered comrades, although they have not really fought side by side. But they all belong to the same army, right? They have come to Earth." Lee Ji's words seemed to cause Sam to misunderstand something. Because Sam immediately asked, "Are they here to find my father? Or did my father ask them to find me?" "Oh, not exactly." Lee Ji thought for a while and answered. "Because Star-Lord's main purpose of coming here is to tell the Earth about the upcoming Chitauri crisis. Then he returned home to visit relatives. As for finding Richard, well, this is just an accident discovered by the way." But seeing Sam's eyes full of expectation and twinkling stars, Lee Ji felt that he couldn't tell the truth at this time, otherwise the image of Sam's father as tall and heroic would be shattered. So Lee Ji could only say, "In fact, your father retired at the height of his career, and not many people in the Nova Corps knew that he retired to Earth. Although the Nova Corps erected a monument statue for your father, they also tried to find your father. But there is no trace of him. This time is an accidental accident. But they were still very excited after learning about you, Lee Ji, probably. So now there may be a fourth way for you to choose." Lee Ji said seriously. "You inherited the power of your father Nova, which is his legacy to you. And now he has left you another legacy. Are you willing to join the Nova Corps, accept their training and become a member of the Nova Corps?" In fact, Lee Ji still hopes that Sam will join. Because Sam is a native boy of Earth. If he joins the Nova Corps, then in a way, Earth will have a spokesperson in the Nova Corps. It is still not reliable to rely on Star-Lord alone, because these days when Lee Ji heard Star-Lord and his teammates having fun with each other, he learned a fact. That is, the good things done by the Guardians of the Galaxy are as many and as big as the troubles they have caused. So this is also the main reason why Star-Lord has been a temporary worker for so many years and has never been able to get a formal establishment. It is not enough to rely on a temporary worker of the Nova Corps alone. It is better to have talents who can get into the internal or even high level. Sam still has some talent, as long as he does not indulge in the beauty of the two girls every day. With some talent, plus his willingness to work hard and the influence left by Richard in the Nova Corps, Sam's future will not be difficult. Of course, Lee Ji has no say in this matter. Whether he is willing to join the Nova Corps is Sam's personal consideration. No one can make a decision for him. Lee Ji just told him about this matter. In the end, it is his business to make the final choice. And Sam's first consideration about this matter is, will there be a salary for joining the Nova Corps? Very good, very realistic child. Lee Ji nodded, yes. Even temporary workers like the Guardians of the Galaxy have a basic salary, and there are additional bonuses for completing tasks. As regular employees, the Nova members naturally have a salary. From basic logistics soldiers, no Nova, Nova soldiers, 3-pointed star, decapitation, 4-pointed star, and centurion, 8-pointed star, they have various salary standards. Basically, everyone who joins should be paid. Hearing Lee Ji say this, Sam muttered in a low voice, where did that damn drunkard, Richard, spend all the money he earned over the years? Lee Ji heard Sam's muttering, and he couldn't help but say, maybe it's because the universal currency of the galaxy used by the Nova Corps cannot be circulated on Earth. Maybe your father left you a large deposit in a bank in the galaxy. Sam became excited, just like the gold galleons that James Potter left for Harry Potter in Gringotts. Well, I think so. Li Ji was not very sure. But in this case, how should I change this money into US dollars? Sam was worried about the money that he hadn't received yet. Well, if you need it, I will find a way to help you exchange it. Li Ji offered help to the child who is desperate to supplement the family income. Anyway, the universal currency of the Milky Way should be able to buy a lot of things. Although it can no longer be circulated on Earth, it should be usable in other civilizations in the Milky Way. The Illuminati should not lose money by exchanging it. Okay. If that's the case, I think I should join the Nova Corps. Sam did it not only for the money, but also to see the place where his father had been glorious in the past. However, Li Ji's next sentence made him feel depressed. This matter still needs your mother's approval. Without her approval, you can't leave the Earth. I will not agree to let the Guardians of the Galaxy, under the Nova Corps, take you away. Of course, if your mother agrees, then I will support you to go to the Nova Corps. And I will provide you with all kinds of help and convenience. Li Ji's words lifted Sam's depressed mood again. Sam asked curiously, what kind of help? Li Ji pointed with his fingers and said, it's all kinds of small gifts that can help you get along well with your classmates at the New Star Preparatory School. For example, delicious food, fun things, games, movies, TV, etc., and all kinds of things that make people think you are cool and interesting. For example, Lego blocks. Don't reject my kindness, because you go out to represent not yourself but the Earth. So we will provide you with all kinds of help. I also hope that you can spread these things to more of your classmates. Li Ji said this with a smile, and his tone was as kind as an elder who cares about the younger generation. No one can see that he has any bad intentions. Chapter 906, Black Panther was beaten? Sam left with hope, and he was not obsessed with the beauty of the two girls. He did not become a food waste processor to destroy almond biscuits, macarons. In the end, Mindy and Laura bought macarons that looked beautiful at the time but were actually not used to the taste. In the end, they all gave them to the hacker in accordance with the principle of not wasting. As for the fact that fat people are prone to diabetes if they eat too much sweets, they were ignored by the two. The Guardians of the Galaxy and others have actually completed the most important task. That is to convey the alarm of the Chitauri to the Earth. As for Star-Lord's return home, in fact, after enjoying Pluto, the members of the Guardians of the Galaxy did not want to come to the Earth at all. Because of a very simple point. The various enjoyments on Pluto are paid for by the Illuminati. If you want to eat and play like this on Earth, you need to pay for it yourself. Let's not talk about whether the universal galactic currency in Star-Lord's hands can be spent on Earth. Even if the Illuminati is willing to exchange it for them, they are reluctant to spend it lavishly. Because they must always keep a sum of money to repair and buy new spaceships. This is the experience they have learned from countless bloody lessons. Because when 5 troublemakers get together, anything can happen. Including all kinds of damage to the spacecraft or even the scrapping of the spacecraft caused by various acts of self-destruction. After all, as part-time workers, the Nova Corps will not reimburse them for many of their insurances. Because the senior officials in the Nova Corps know the character of Star-Lord and others. If the Corps reimburses them for various expenses and losses, this group of people dare to drive the spacecraft worth tens of billions of star coins as bumper cars. Maybe the Guardians of the Galaxy can drag the Nova Corps into bankruptcy. So it is not without reason that they keep shouting that Star-Lord is a part-time worker. And because of the fact that the wallets in their pockets are not sufficient. The other 4 members of the Guardians of the Galaxy have no plans to go to Earth to play. They deeply feel that life in Pluto Starport is good, and this is heaven. Why go to Earth to suffer? It is Star-Lord who misses his hometown, not them. Why should they accompany Star-Lord to stay in a cheap motel and watch a small TV that is not even 40 inches? So Star-Lord was forced to embark on the journey home alone, and Professor Charles would observe him from time to time to prevent him from getting into trouble. In fact, Star-Lord's main wish to come to Earth has been fulfilled. He doesn't want to play Contra and the first generation of Super Mario now. He has watched the third and the new Terminator, not to mention the second part of Terminator. As for Michael Jackson's concert, there is nothing he can do. He can only buy some high-definition DVDs to commemorate it. Star-Lord's only purpose of coming to Earth now is to meet Sam, and then maybe he needs to talk to Sam's mother about whether Sam is willing to go to the Nova Corps for training. Although Li Ji and others hope that Sam will join the Nova Corps, they do not take the initiative to intervene in this matter. The choice is still on Sam and his mother. so Star-Lord can only embark on his journey home alone. When Star-Lord left his companions, Gamora was enjoying the sauna, Rocket Raccoon and Groot were watching Westworld and crying, and Drax was eating and drinking in the restaurant. No one came to see him off. Star-Lord could only raise his middle finger to them in a place where no one was around. However, Star-Lord embarked on his wonderful journey home. There will be a special story about this, and his various adventures on Earth were not something Li Ji could take care of, because Li Ji had his own things to do. For example, some countries had some minor problems in the promotion of the X Rebirth potion. Because Tuvalu has begun to formally accept free financial assistance from various countries to research and develop things like X Rebirth potions. So appropriate international supervision is a matter of course. Of course, in order to prevent mutant countries from being overly stimulated. During the internal meeting of the Earth Federation, the proposal to form a delegation led by the United States was rejected. This is too formal, and the attitude of the United States towards mutants, tut. Forget it, it's more important now than to keep Latveria's doom happy. This pervert is almost laughing crazy recently. He plays network intrusion whenever he has nothing to do, to tell the world how happy he is to see these leaders jumping around. Our leaders don't have any face. Being laughed at by you, a big dictator, every day. In fact, everyone was holding their breath. So after a meeting, it was decided that the matter would be handed over to the SWORD. Then Captain Rogers got the news, and finally he selected a person who had the least connection with mutants and other international communities from the Bureau as an observer to handle the matter. And this person was the Prince of the African power Wakanda, T'Challa. Wakanda is a country that has been isolated from the world for a long time. They are self-contained and have their own technological development. Although they live in Africa, they basically don't ask about African affairs. They are a group of real closed-door people who only live their own lives behind closed doors. It was not until the Battle of New York that the appearance of aliens, Thor, made the current King T'Chaka decide to return the country to the secular world. Wakanda is a special country. Although it is located in Africa, its technology is highly developed. It has a small population but is extremely wealthy. They also own the only seismic gold mine on Earth, formed by meteorites from outer space. This mine has been coveted by other countries, but no one has ever been able to take it away. Because Wakanda also has the world's strongest single soldier army, the White Tiger Army. This is a country that can live well for hundreds of years behind closed doors. It feels out of tune with other African countries. If it weren't for T'Chaka's decision, Wakanda might have been closed off for hundreds of years. Now, Wakanda has returned to the international community. And T'Chaka's son, T'Challa, the next king of Wakanda, is participating in the handling of international disputes as a coordinator in the SWORD. Considering T'Challa's special status and Wakanda's long-term position of not favoring any country, Captain Rogers chose him as a special observer for Tuvalu. This assignment is very appropriate from all angles. A prince of Wakanda who does not have too many conflicts of interest in this matter and has no traditional friendly countries is naturally a good candidate. But sometimes all kinds of accidents will happen, and the way they happen is always unexpected. When Li Ji had just dealt with the problem of Star-Lord, he had just had time to sit down and eat a meal. Captain Rogers sat next to Li Ji with his plate and told him a bad news. What the hell? T'Challa spied on Storm and got beaten up by her? What the hell? Li Ji was a little confused. Wasn't Storm hopelessly obsessed with a dragon warrior, Thor? How did she get involved with a prince of Wakanda? What was going on? Captain Rogers was also helpless. The problem now is T'Challa's identity. After all, he is the Prince of Wakanda. Chapter 907, A Critical Hit in Life. T'Challa was beaten for spying on Storm? How did he say that? Li Ji was a little confused. Of course, to be fair, Storm is a beauty. Beautiful long silver hair, sexy body, although her facial features are not the kind of delicate root, but she has the charm of a mature lady. Although she is black, Storm's skin color is not the kind of chocolate skin color. It is a deep wheat color, which many people like because it gives a healthy and energetic feeling. Many people even spend money to go to a tanning center to get this skin color. It is normal to spend thousands of dollars to get this skin color, unless you live by the sea and can go to the beach to sunbathe frequently. Li Ji wondered if X Pharmacy would also launch a potion that changes skin color in the future. I believe that many people will buy it, and at that time, cough, it seems to be off topic. Li drove away the thoughts about how to make money from his mind, and then asked Captain Rogers, "So what happened? Was T'Challa beaten badly? Did he peek at Storm taking a bath? T'Challa is a prince of a country, he still can't do such a dirty thing as peeping at a woman taking a bath. Although he does seem to like Storm, his thickness is not thick enough to reach this level." Captain Rogers couldn't help but despise Li's dirty thoughts. Li shrugged, indicating that he didn't understand who the thick-skinned person Captain Rogers meant. Well, probably the narcissist Tony Stark. In fact, T'Challa knew Storm a long time ago, or knew Storm's family. Captain Rogers said. Because Storm Ororo Monroe was born in a traditional family. Their family inherited the gene of mutant awakening, and almost every awakening is the ability to control weather, lightning and storms. It's just that Storm Ororo is the most powerful one in the family's history. Because of their ability to control weather and storms, the Monroe family in Kenya has been worshipped as gods by local kingdoms and tribes for thousands of years. This is not surprising. In the feudal era more than 1,000 years ago, Kenya was still a tribal system at that time. If you could control the weather and rain, you would naturally be worshipped as a god by humans, because rain is related to food, and food is related to survival. If you also control the power of heavenly punishment, thunder, even the king needs to bow down in front of this power. Unless the king is a more powerful mutant. The legend of the Monroe family is widely circulated in Africa. So it is not surprising that T'Challa knows the story of the Monroe family, even if Wakanda is a closed country. So when T'Challa first set foot on the land of Tuvalu and met Storm Ororo and knew her last name, T'Challa knew that this lady had a deep relationship with the Monroe family circulated in Africa. And this gave T'Challa the opportunity to strike up a conversation. Well, T'Challa just wanted to strike up a conversation with Ororo. Because T'Challa is a man, a young and strong man, and Storm Ororo is a beautiful, sexy and hot woman. The reason is that simple. It's just the same thing. Similar things happen every day all over the world. Right now, on Christmas or Christmas Eve or any ordinary moment, when you are sitting on your computer or holding your phone, playing games or reading novels, there are millions of people or even more doing the same thing. The life of a real person is very explosive, especially when the real person is the heir to a country and a real prince. There are generally two types of male animals, especially human males. One is not so confident in himself, but has a lot of inner drama. He is obviously secretly in love with someone, but he always feels that others are also secretly in love with him, and then he imagines all kinds of scenes. Then he is the kind of person who is very coquettish inside. Although he is not confident on the outside, he is inexplicably proud on the inside. There is also a kind of person who is very coquettish from the inside out, or to use a more positive term, he is very confident. T'Challa is like this. He is not the kind of man who pretends to play with his phone and pretends not to care when he sees a beautiful girl he likes. Please, if you don't confess your love to a girl, do you expect your goddess to be attracted to you who is ordinary in appearance but excellent in inner qualities in the vast crowd? Dream on. If this really happens, then Li's X new beauty potion will not be sold at all. Don't think too much. Humans are very superficial. The reason you didn't get the favor of the goddess, male, is not because you are not good looking. That's why Li has high hopes for the X new beauty potion. He believes that this potion can change the world as soon as it appears. If you are not good looking, you have to chat back. You have to know what it means to say something meaningful and make people want to chat with you. If a boy doesn't even know how to chat, don't expect to be favored by a goddess, because she is busy replying to the people in her mobile phone address book. What are you doing? Haha, go take a shower. So Storm, coincidentally, met T'Challa after finishing a day's work. Storm is not only a member of the X-Men, Phoenix team, but also now that Xavier's School for the Gifted has reopened in Tuvalu, she has returned to her old job, being a teacher. So after teaching today's physics class, Aurora was about to go back to her room to take a shower and rest, when T'Challa happened to run into Storm outside the school. "Hello, Miss Monroe." T'Challa was wearing a very handsome leather jacket. He was definitely a handsome guy in the black aesthetic. He had thick eyebrows, big eyes, and a high nose bridge. Although his facial features were a bit rough, he had a sense of resolute masculinity. Coupled with his tall and strong body, T'Challa looked like a tough guy. Storm Ororo's eyes swept over T'Challa's regular facial features. She didn't dislike this kind of tall, strong, and clean-looking man. So Aurora responded to T'Challa with a smile. "Hello, Prince T'Challa. Aren't you inspecting the pharmaceutical factory?" T'Challa shook his head without comment. "Oh, actually these are all routine matters. You know, some people are worried, but they have no reason to be worried, or their reasons are not justifiable. That's why I was asked to be the special commissioner." Whatever. T'Challa didn't seem to take this matter to heart at all. Storm Aurora didn't know whether T'Challa was telling the truth or lying. Maybe he was deliberately telling her lies to improve his impression? Because Aurora could see from T'Challa's eyes what the man opposite wanted to express. As expected, T'Challa followed up with a sentence, "Then it's not particularly important. In fact, I quite like Tuvalu, a small island country. It's full of mutants, and to be honest, it feels pretty good. I saw a lot of interesting things, and the girl with a squirrel tail who can communicate with animals is amazing. In fact, I am still very interested in understanding mutants. If you are free, maybe we can sit down and have a drink? For the sake of our fellow Africans." Aurora is not a little girl in her early 20s who can be fooled by a man's simple words. Storm raised her eyebrows slightly, and she was ready to say something that would make T'Challa take a series of critical hits. P.S. Please vote on Christmas. Chapter 908 The Assaulter, Thor. Storm Aurora raised her eyebrows slightly, with a smile on her lips. At the same time, she used her index finger to touch the air above T'Challa's left ear. T'Challa didn't understand the meaning of Storm's action. So he frowned and asked, "So what does this mean? Is it the way of greeting passed down in your family?" Haha. Aurora laughed softly twice, and she asked T'Challa in a slightly teasing tone, "Don't you use a computer?" "Of course I do. What does this have to do with this?" T'Challa still didn't react. Aurora dragged a long vibrato, and then said, "I just clicked on the upper right corner of the page. Guess what's there? Little red XX." T'Challa suddenly realized it at this time. "Congratulations, you are not the dumbest one among the hundreds of students I have taught. Although you look stupid, I think you should be able to get a B on the test." Aurora's words made T'Challa scratch his head. "Actually, my test scores were no less than A when I was in school. Although I look big, it doesn't mean that my brain is filled with muscles, okay?" T'Challa couldn't help but excuse himself. "I'm not a fool. If you are willing to have a drink with me, we can discuss physics problems. I heard that you are responsible for teaching this subject." When Aurora heard what T'Challa said, she kept clicking on the void in the upper right corner, and said while clicking, "Do you know that the most annoying thing when using a computer is the continuous pop-up ads? You always have to click to close them." Okay. T'Challa knew that this time he failed to pick up a girl. But he didn't figure out where he failed. But as a prince, his cultivation is still very good. T'Challa had to raise his hands and back away. As he left Aurora, he said, "Then the pop-up ads will disappear immediately, okay?" Without T'Challa blocking the way, Aurora was ready to leave. But before Aurora left, T'Challa said, "Hey, you know what? Sometimes pop-up ads aren't that bad. For example, sometimes they'll tell you about Amazon's discounts." Aurora didn't even turn her head and waved her hands high. T'Challa could only look at her beautiful back and listen to Aurora say, "But I don't really like discounted items. At the same time, I don't like men with both developed muscles and brains. People who are too perfect are boring, aren't they?" Aurora left, leaving T'Challa with only a sexy back. If that's the case, it looks like T'Challa and Storm's first meeting wasn't a big deal. Liji ate the sausage rice balls in big mouthfuls and drank a sip of black tea before saying, "It sounds like their meeting wasn't bad." Captain Rogers didn't object to Liji's statement. He nodded, "It's really not bad, or it should be pretty good." Yet, it sounds like Storm rejected T'Challa but flirted with him hard. Liji thought about it and said, "Because from Aurora's performance, if T'Challa is really a man who is very confident in himself, he will not give up easily. Storm Aurora's performance is still very charming. A goddess who is a little arrogant but not so cold and beautiful can easily arouse a man's nerves." "Yes, that's the problem." Captain Rogers said the key, Storm's rejection has aroused T'Challa's thoughts even more. Fortunately, T'Challa is very restrained and never does anything that loses his status, but he has never let go. Liji nodded, "It's normal. The trick of pestering is still useful even after 1,000 years. Men who don't know how to pester properly should not think about pursuing goddesses." So in order to get rid of T'Challa's pursuit, Storm said that she already has a loved one. Roger's words gave Leegee a bad premonition. Wait, you can't say that. Aurora brought up the god of salted fish. Leegee himself almost coughed because the black tea was poured into his trachea. Yes, it's Thor. Captain Rogers said a not-so-good news. Since the last time they joined forces to destroy Hydra, Aurora seems to have an extraordinary liking for Thor's role as the Dragon Warrior. Yes. They even exchanged contact information. Leegee knew more about this than Captain Rogers. Because Thor lived in his own house, Aurora took a lot of personal private photos and streamed them to Thor. Leegee suddenly felt a little unfair when he said this. He said to Captain Rogers, "Captain, if you are surrounded by a group of sexy and hot beauties, and they all come to your door and are willing to fight for you, then I would not be surprised at all. After all, you are so handsome. Hey, don't describe me as a pretty boy." Captain Rogers was very unhappy that Leegee said this about him. "Okay, I apologize for what I said just now." Leegee apologized immediately, "But I think you understand what I mean. I'm not surprised that you can make girls fall in love with you. But what qualifications does a mere nobody like Thor have? The mature and capable female doctor, Christine; the pure and beautiful little nurse, Jane Foster; the heroic Valkyrie, Sif; and now there is the sexy and hot Storm, Aurora. Can you imagine that this nobody already has 4 beautiful girls with different styles falling in love with him?" Leegee said this a little indignantly. "Please. He is just a salted fish weighing more than 200 kilograms. His body fat rate is over 28%, and he doesn't look handsome at all now, okay? Why does he do that? He eats all kinds of junk food every day, and likes to eat popcorn while lying on the sofa watching talk shows. Even this kind of person has 4 extremely beautiful girls, each of whom is a goddess in other people's minds. Why does he do that? To be honest, sometimes I really want to prepare diesel and torches to burn him." Captain Rogers thought for a while and said, "I think with Thor's fat content, you can burn him without diesel. But before burning him, you need to get him out of the problem." "What?" Leegee was a little puzzled. "Why do you think I want to talk to you about T'Challa being beaten? If this is an ordinary diplomatic incident, I will find a way to calm it down. And the biggest problem now is that among the people who beat people, there is a helper called by Aurora. Guess who this helper is? Alaska Thor." Leegee already had a very bad guess. This Alaska must be full and bored. He was already in a mess, and he really went to provoke Storm? Was he afraid that he would not die quickly enough? Did he forget that in addition to Sif on Earth, he also had his sister, Loki, in Asgard? Yes, you guessed it right. This happened when you and Star-Lord were thinking about how to corrupt the Nova Corps. And as far as I know, you should be Thor's guardian on Earth. So, just watch and deal with it. We don't want Wakanda to have any extreme reactions. Their vibranium mine is very important to us." Rogers patted Leegee on the shoulder and said, "Find a way to deal with Wakanda and T'Challa. This is what you are best at?" Leegee's inner thoughts, XXXX. Am I not a veteran of this organization? How come I am the same as the temporary worker of the Guardians of the Galaxy in the Nova Corps? And Thor, wait until I figure this out and see how I deal with you. I'm afraid you don't know what the hell Shura Field is. I'll let you die, and you will die if you die. P.S. I am not in a good mood today. Maybe there will be only 1 update, maybe 2. I never know. I'd better take a day off in advance. If there's an update, just treat it as not taking a day off. Also, tickets for Monday. Chapter 909. This is an accident. Captain Rogers passed the buck to Leegee. His reason was simple. Thor's guardian is you, and as a guardian, you have the obligation to deal with the mess he has caused. Just like a dog owner who didn't put a leash on his dog, which led to the dog biting someone, this must be the dog owner's full responsibility. Because you can't just kill the biting Alaskan dog at will. Even if you kill it and sell the dog meat, it's not enough to pay for other people's vaccinations. So the final person who takes the blame must be the dog owner. Therefore, if you keep a dog, remember to put a leash on the dog before letting it go out for a walk. Otherwise, who knows what kind of mess it will cause you. Leegee now regrets not putting a leash on Thor, but then again, where can he get a leash that can tie Thor? This thing should not exist. Unless you can get a thing like the lasso of lies in the hands of the heroine in Supergirl played by Gal Gadot. When Leegee found Thor, a salted fish was lying comfortably on the sofa watching the new season of Hell's Kitchen. The world-famous British chef Gordon Ramsay was showing his amazing language talent on TV. UXXXXX. Do you know that XXX cannot XXXXX? My grandma's golden retriever cooks better than you. If your brain is not filled with XXXX, then please wake up and figure out what you XXX are doing in the kitchen. Okay. Fox TV's post-production was also hard. The program needed to have a whole segment of BBB sound effect, but it also had to make everyone roughly understand what Gordon was saying. The salted fish god was lying on the sofa, watching Gordon Ramsay's swearing teaching video while eating popcorn mixed with cream chocolate and caramel flavors. Ha ha ha. These idiots can't even fry scallops properly, they're hopeless. Do you think if a restaurant selling seafood hires them as chefs, will those restaurants go bankrupt? Thor threw a mouthful of popcorn into his mouth. He was gloating over the poor guys suffering on TV. And those idiots, why can't they cook the rosemary chicken thighs completely? Don't they know that eating raw chicken can easily cause diarrhea? If a customer in the restaurant has diarrhea, then they can just close it. By the way, doesn't your family run a restaurant? Do you cook this kind of relatively raw food for customers? Thor didn't get up after seeing Lee Ji come in. He just lay comfortably on the sofa, eating popcorn and talking. Lee Ji took the big bucket of popcorn that Thor had placed on his belly, and then grabbed a handful and threw it into his mouth. After chewing, he said, "My family runs a Chinese restaurant. Chinese restaurants don't like half-cooked food. Except for a small amount of cold dishes, all dishes are cooked thoroughly at high temperature before being served." "Oh, your family doesn't sell sashimi?" Thor stuffed himself with another mouthful of popcorn. "Except for Cantonese restaurants that sometimes sell sea bream sashimi, other Chinese restaurants basically don't have raw food. Of course, there are some Yunnan and Gizhou restaurants that also have raw food. Moreover, most of the restaurants that sell sashimi now are Japanese restaurants. Sashimi, sushi, etc." Lee Ji rolled his eyes and told Thor that Japanese and Chinese food are different. "Well, I thought they were the same. After all, they all eat with chopsticks." Thor spread his hands after hearing what Lee Ji said, then snatched the popcorn tube back and continued to put it on his big belly exposed when he lay on his back. Lee Ji clapped his hands, brushed off the popcorn crumbs on his hands and said, "Tell me, Thor." "What? Tell me why you wanted to beat T'Challa? I've heard from Captain Rogers. You stood up for Aurora the Storm and beat T'Challa up. I heard that you beat him pretty badly. This incident has made Wakanda's King T'Chaka very unhappy. He even came forward to question the Earth Federation and Tuvalu. It wasn't me who beat him, okay?" After hearing what Lee Ji said, Thor turned over at once, as agile as Sammo Hung in his 20s. Lee Ji raised his eyebrows. "So what's going on?" Thor patted the sofa and said, "I received a message from Aurora that day, and I just met with her. Aren't you afraid of death? Do you know that you are now in purgatory? Dare you provoke a mutant with lightning storms? Do you think there are no thunderstorms in hell?" Lee Ji looked at Thor in disbelief. "Or do you really think that you can deceive people for a lifetime by using the identity of the Dragon Warrior?" I know things are troublesome, so I responded to Aurora's message." Thor emphasized again and again, "You don't know that the photos she sent me recently are getting more and more explicit. So I was very worried." "Worried?" "Yes, I'm worried that if I forget to bring my phone one day, and Sif sees these photos, I'll be miserable." "Did you delete the photos?" "Ah. Can photos on mobile phones be deleted?" "Lee Ji, I'm sorry, I was wrong. You continue." Thor shrugged, "Because I think it's not a solution to keep going like this, so I responded to Aurora's message. She wanted to meet me. I thought let's meet, it's better to convince her not to bother me anymore. You know how troubled I am now, how hard life is." Lee Ji looked at the sofa under Thor, whose cushions were deformed by his weight, the 50-ounce bucket of popcorn, and the 60-inch LCD TV playing Hell's Kitchen. Lee Ji said thoughtfully, "Yes, it's really hard. Yes, it's really hard. That's why I want to make my attitude clear. I went to Aurora to tell her not to send me those photos in the future. It could easily get me into trouble." Thor said, "I talked to her for a long time at that time. I don't want to say what we talked about specifically. This is my personal privacy. Then I barely convinced her and made her understand that it's impossible for us." Lee Ji touched his chin. "Does Thor have such a good eloquence?" Then our topic turned back to a more normal direction. "Aurora is a mutant with the power of lightning and storms. My priesthood is also thunder and storms. Compared with my ability, Aurora's ability is not worth mentioning. So she wanted to ask me about the control method and ability of thunder. Thor was right to say this. Few people can compare with him in the control of thunder power. Of course Odin is not counted. I just wanted to show her the correct way to use thunder. But who knows that the black boy, T'Challa, was also there at the time, and he was hiding in the dark and spying, and he was wearing metal ornaments. Thor touched his forehead helplessly. You know how much lightning likes metal with good conductivity. And at that time I was just about to release something like ball lightning. Guess who the ball lightning hit? Luigi also touched his forehead helplessly. Is there any need to ask this? Who else could it be besides T'Challa? But T'Challa is lucky, he's not dead yet. But his father got angry. I think maybe he should go and apologize to him. Luigi asked Thor. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 910 Different Perspectives. Africa, Wakanda. Standing in front of his son's hospital bed, T'Challa never thought that such a result would occur. As the next heir to the kingdom of Wakanda, T'Challa now has deep first-degree and deep second-degree burns on 40% of his body, as well as a small amount of deep third-degree burns. This is already a severe burn. In the past, this degree of burns would have caused lifelong disability. If it weren't for the limb regeneration surgery of the Osborn group, I'm afraid T'Challa would have given up training his son as an heir and switched to training his daughter. Because a severely disabled king would find it difficult to inherit the throne of Wakanda and the title of Black Panther that has been passed down in their family for generations. Osborn's limb regeneration surgery saved many people, and this time T'Challa also benefited from this surgery. Deep burns were basically incurable in the past, and could only be restored by the body's own self-healing ability. Even with the best skin grafting and plastic surgery technology, it is difficult to restore the appearance to its original state. Moreover, skin grafting will also bring sequelae such as skin atrophy, etc. Now the emergence of limb regeneration technology has allowed this injury to be well cured. By consuming the regeneration and division ability of some cells, T'Challa only needs to be treated in the treatment center for 1 or 2 months to recover. It takes much faster and costs less than the healing time of broken hands and feet. Although his son can be cured, it does not mean that T'Challa can just pretend that nothing happened. If a child from an ordinary family is bullied by a child outside, the parents will also go to someone to reason, maybe with violence. What's more, T'Challa is the Prince of Wakanda and the future heir to the throne. He was supposed to work in the SWORD, but later he was transferred to Tuvalu as an observer because of the X-Reborn potion. This should have been a very easy job. But who could have known such an accident? T'Challa was seriously injured by the lightning of Storm Ororo in the mutants. If T'Challa had not worn a protective suit made of vibranium under his underwear to protect the key parts, he might have died at that time. There must be an explanation for this matter, and those who make such an extraordinary move must be punished. T'Chaka said to his son who was fixed on the bed and could not move, "Don't worry, son. I will make those who hurt you pay the price." The young Black Panther T'Challa was lying on the bed watching all kinds of strange drugs being injected into his body. He wanted to open his mouth to speak, but his vocal tract was burned and his hands were also severely burned. Because it was daily life, he was only wearing the lining armor that day, and not the Black Panther armor of the Wakanda royal family. If he had worn vibranium armor to cover his whole body, the lightning would not have caused much damage to him. Putting aside the protective performance of vibranium, a fully enclosed Faraday cage alone could protect him. So he was only wearing the lining armor at the time and was electrocuted badly, especially the exposed skin part without armor was the most burned. He wanted to say to his father, "It was not Ororo who electrocuted me, but another man." But his current situation is, "I just can't open my mouth to let you know." In fact, he never thought that he would be so unlucky. He still remembers what happened that day. Ever since Ororo rejected him for the first time, T'Challa felt that he was attracted by this hot lady with long silver hair. He wanted to pursue Ororo and launch his own offensive. This was nothing. T'Challa was still single, and it was normal for him to pursue the opposite sex he liked boldly. But the problem was that Ororo seemed to have no interest in him. This was a blow to T'Challa. He was still very confident in his charm. And he also understood that appropriate persistence, without disgust from the opposite sex, was the only way to pursue the opposite sex. So even though Aurora said at the time that she wanted to turn off the pop-up ads on the computer, T'Challa still believed that she would still be interested in some discount ads. So in order to win Aurora's heart, T'Challa specially prepared a small gift for her. A tiger's eye stone pendant representing Kenya. Because the Monroe family has a constant relationship with Kenya, even though Aurora has now immigrated to the United States, her parents' generation still has various connections with Kenya. She must have relatives in Kenya. So a gift related to Kenya is particularly suitable. This is carefully selected by T'Challa. Because giving gifts to girls is quite particular, the more expensive the better. Especially for a girl who is not very familiar, such as a girl like Aurora, she will definitely refuse a high-end gift from someone she is not familiar with. So T'Challa wants to give a gift that is not so valuable, but very meaningful. So he chose a tiger eye stone pendant with silver as the base. This gift symbolizes Kenya and can appropriately narrow the distance between himself and his fellow African. It's just that he needs to find a suitable opportunity to get close to Aurora before he can give this gift. He even practiced the lines for a long time before, about how to talk to Aurora and let her accept this gift. Because T'Challa understands that as long as Aurora accepts this gift, then his goal will be completed by 1/3. The remaining 2/3 are just a matter of time, and T'Challa has the patience. So he paid close attention to Aurora's movements during his time in Tuvalu, but he was very careful to restrain his behavior. Because you follow beautiful girls all day long, it's easy to look like a pervert. As a prince, you still need to have some face. T'Challa has been waiting for the right time, and this right time finally came. One day, T'Challa found that Aurora did not return to her room immediately after class. Instead, she secretly walked in another direction. Now Tuvalu is reclaiming land, approved by the United Nations before, and the original small island is expanding in all directions. It extends several kilometers or even dozens of kilometers to the southeast and northwest. Aurora did not alarm anyone, she secretly went northwest, at least more than 30 kilometers away from the main urban area of Tuvalu. This place has not been developed yet, it is a piece of land that has just been added. T'Challa secretly followed Storm all the way here. He was very concerned about Aurora. So he especially wanted to know what Aurora was doing here. But after really coming here, T'Challa regretted it. Because he saw his goddess quickly throw herself into the arms of another man, Thor, and hugged her tightly, looking like they couldn't be separated. Because Storm hugged her too tightly, Thor didn't dare to push her away, fearing that he would hurt her. The man and woman actually hugged each other in this wilderness for several minutes, and T'Challa felt his heart bleeding. If he needed to describe his mood now, then another line of lyrics is particularly suitable. I should be under the car, not in the car, to see how sweet you are. Of course, the premise is that he must understand Chinese, and he also knows that there is an out-of-date singer named Adu in Singapore. Because he was afraid of getting too close and being discovered, T'Challa was hiding a little far away from Aurora and the others. He didn't know what the man said sweetly in Aurora's ear, and he kept saying it for several minutes. Thor, Aurora, let go, let go. You're too strong, my ribs hurt a little, can't you just let go? They were chatting happily and sweetly, or it was mainly the man who was using his sweet words to please Aurora. Thor, seriously, you can't send me those photos anymore. My phone memory is almost full, and the gold-eating games I downloaded can't run anymore. Every time I open it, the memory is full, and I have to change to a 64-gram memory card. Then, after they chatted about something, the man seemed to find himself, and then he started to do something. Thor gestured and swore to the sky, I am not lying to you, Aurora. I have a fiancé now, but I like another lady now, and there is another young girl who likes me, plus a sister who wants the world to be in chaos. My life is already very chaotic. You don't have to pay any attention to a scumbag like me, I'm serious. In fact, I am a scumbag, really a big scumbag. Then after several minutes, the man seemed to take out something like a hammer and released a lightning bolt in his direction. He didn't have time to dodge and was hit. Thor, you said how to use lightning? Well, thank God, you finally changed the subject. If it's about the use of lightning power, I can teach you. Let me show you first. There should be no one around here. I'll make a ball lightning with tracking type for you to see. It is very sensitive and can track various things that attract lightning, including the electromagnetic attraction of the human body and various metals. Then T'Challa felt a flash of white light, and he didn't remember anything. Thor, see, that's it. Just let it go? Isn't there anyone? Why is there a fool hiding here? Damn, he was struck by lightning, and he needs first aid. Fortunately, I have learned this. I will handle the first aid. Aurora, you go back and find someone, and now I am lying on the hospital bed. It's all that man's fault. All this has nothing to do with Aurora directly. So father, if you are looking for someone to avenge, you must help me find the right person. T'Challa shouted in his heart. And in the palace of Wakanda, T'Chaka, who had just returned from his son's bed, welcomed a stranger. Chapter 911. Sure enough, he is my biological father. After returning from his son's ward, T'Chaka was not in a good mood. Because T'Challa's treatment will last for about a month before it can be cured. Although it can be cured and there will be no sequelae, his son is injured. This is a very unhappy thing for T'Chaka as a father. What's more, this matter is related to the reputation of the Wakanda royal family. If the person involved is not held accountable, then where will he put his face as a royal family? Just when T'Chaka was about to send a letter to the Earth Federation and SWORD to ask them to help him put pressure on Tuvalu and let them hand over the murderer Storm Ororo, an unexpected stranger came to T'Chaka. Are you Ororo? T'Chaka met this strange woman in his conference room. It was she who hurt his son. When T'Chaka saw Ororo, he understood why T'Challa kept chasing this girl until she beat him. Because Ororo does have such charm, enough to make men who like her obsessed with her, and even fighting is not too much? Standing in front of T'Chaka, Storm took a deep breath and said, "Yes, I am Ororo. I am extremely sorry for accidentally hurting T'Challa. This is my mistake. This is just my personal problem and has nothing to do with Tuvalu. I think I am willing to accept the punishment I deserve. Accidental injury." T'Chaka frowned. "Miss Ororo, I know something. My son is pursuing you. Maybe some of the methods he used have caused you to be disgusted, but I want to ask if he has done anything out of line." No. For this point, Ororo had to say that T'Challa was still very gentlemanly. "Then that's good. My son likes you, so he pursues you. Even if you don't accept it, or even dislike him. But T'Challa has never done anything out of line or inappropriate. I believe my son is a gentleman, and he never uses out-of-line methods to pursue girls. Even if you don't like him, there is no need to hurt him like this." T'Chaka's expression was very angry. Because the one lying on the bed now is his son. This is really an accidental injury. I was just practicing my ability to use lightning. Ororo said this, and did not mention that the dragon warrior, Thor, was also present at the time. Because Ororo felt that this incident was caused by her. At this time, if the dragon warrior was also dragged into it, it would be too unfair. Not to mention that it was she who sent a message to Thor and then involved him in this incident. Just talking about a matter of T'Challa, Ororo felt that it was also because of his failure to handle it properly that the incident evolved into this situation. At that time, he should have refused more decisively. Although the dragon warrior has been rejecting him and is still discrediting himself by saying that he is actually a big bastard and a scumbag who has boats under his feet. But Ororo actually doesn't believe it. Maybe he is not charming enough and the other party doesn't like him. Storm can only smile bitterly in his heart. No matter what the reason, the other party did clearly reject her feelings. But he is still very good and is willing to teach her the subtle use of lightning. In fact, the two have discussed some issues about the use of lightning before. Especially, the dragon warrior said that he had a special move that was a combination of storm and thunder. Of course, it was not the kind of lightning storm that was common on the street. It was another terrible move called Meteor Shower. It was an AoE attack that covered a large area. It could control the storm and thunder to rain down a rain of golden lightning and burn all enemies. Ororo really couldn't hate this kind of good man who was not private about his abilities and was willing to teach and share. Now that this matter was caused by himself from beginning to end, he naturally couldn't push the dragon warrior out to take the blame for himself. But T'Challa was injured anyway. So he should take this responsibility so as not to implicate other people. This was also the purpose of Ororo's coming here. She flew to Wakanda, and was directly caught by the defending White Tiger soldiers, and confessed the purpose of her coming. So she was sent to T'Chaka, and this matter was about the royal heir. In Wakanda, only T'Chaka could decide how to deal with this matter. So I am willing to accept any punishment. I am willing to go to jail. Ororo is now a bit single. And now the one who is a bit troubled has become T'Chaka. Because he really didn't expect Ororo to come forward to surrender. There is no escape. Obviously, this woman does not want to magnify the matter. She certainly does not want to involve the matter in international disputes, which is not good for Tuvalu. T'Chaka does not know the existence of Thor. And this woman with a spirit of sacrifice and dedication can't help but let T'Chaka look at her with a higher eye. Because it is easy to say but difficult to do to have the courage to take responsibility for the mistakes you have made. Many people, even many countries, try their best to whitewash the mistakes they have made, and they are unwilling to admit it even when the evidence is thrown in front of them. This kind of thing can be seen everywhere in court and in society. Therefore, there are still very few women like Ororo who know the general situation. This also makes T'Chaka believe that this is an accidental injury, not that Ororo deliberately hurts his son. How should he punish Ororo? Although T'Chaka was still aggressive just now, when Ororo stood in front of him and expressed his willingness to take responsibility, T'Chaka was really in a bit of a dilemma. T'Challa was injured, but it can be cured and there are no sequelae. Financial compensation? The royal family of Wakanda does not need it yet. Now it is just that T'Challa is a little embarrassed. So for the sake of reputation, punish her to go to jail? This is not impossible, but how many years should she be in jail? Another point is that T'Challa seems to like this woman very much. Maybe he punished this woman and then released her after T'Challa's injury healed. That would be even more embarrassing for the royal family. And now we need to pay attention to the public impact. Storm Ororo is a member of the X-Men Phoenix team, and their team still has many fans all over the world. In addition, her status in Tuvalu is also very high. If the punishment is too heavy, it will also be a diplomatic issue. T'Chaka suddenly found that Ororo's surrender made him a little difficult to deal with. Is this a retreat to advance? It would have been easier for them if Tuvalu had kept refusing to give in. Now that they have backed down, it has put them in some trouble. T'Chaka paced back and forth in front of Ororo, and after a long while he said, "I admire your honesty. Miss Ororo, I still need to think about how to deal with your problem. But if you are willing to make amends for the mistake you made, I think there is something I can help you with." Ororo immediately responded, "Please go ahead. My son T'Challa is currently lying in a hospital bed. It will take at least a month for him to recover. I want to find a suitable person to take care of him. I think you are a very suitable candidate. As for how to deal with your problem, I think we should wait until T'Challa recovers." T'Chaka sighed deeply in his heart. "Son, as a father, I can only help you up to this point." Chapter 912, Eat Well and Get on the Road. In the Venus base. "Wakanda is very important to us." Tony said so, while he was waving a pizza in his hand, or half a pizza to be exact, because the other half was in his mouth and stomach. The pizza was just baked by Lee Ji, an 18-inch large thin crust pizza, using a kiln that was recently built in the Venus base. Because electric furnaces always lack the taste of pizza and roast duck and roast chicken. This time, Lee Ji tried to use lychee wood as the combustion heat source to see if he could add a little flavor to the pizza like roast duck. After it was done, it could add a little smell of fruit wood fireworks, but it was not obvious. With a pizza sauce, mozzarella cheese, basil leaves and other heavy-tasting ingredients, it was basically unnoticeable. The 18-inch pizza was very good. In order to make this pizza, Lee Ji also made a roast duck and a roast chicken in advance, and also roasted a portion of beef ribs. After processing all the roasted meats, the fruits were spread on the pizza base, so that the whole pizza was divided into 4 different flavors. Old BJ roast duck flavor, spicy Cajun roast chicken flavor, original small beef rib flavor, and a refreshing fruit flavor. The pizza was big enough so the ingredients could be separated. However, there were still some roast duck, roast chicken and beef ribs left, so I sliced the roast duck, and cut the roast chicken and beef ribs into pieces. I made a salt and pepper dish with the leftover duck racks. Originally, Lee Ji wanted to make a duck rack stewed with Chinese cabbage, but then he thought that eating pizza with duck rack stewed with Chinese cabbage was not a good match, so the salt and pepper dish was more suitable. He picked some fruits from the ecological park and squeezed fresh juice. After all this was done, he called everyone to a meeting. And the only purpose for him to call everyone to the meeting was to hold a special meeting to listen to opinions on the incident of Thor electrocuting Wakanda Prince T'Challa. As the participants ate pizza, chewed beef ribs, nibbled grilled chicken wings, and drank blueberry juice, the conference began in a serious and solemn atmosphere. Wakanda is very important to us. Tony liked the old BJ's roast duck flavored pizza very much. The spicy Cajun flavor was a bit too spicy. In addition to chili, it also mixed with pepper and garlic, which he couldn't accept. As Tony spoke, the pizza in his hand moved with a swing of his body. Tony took a bite of the pizza, pulling out long strings of cheese. He dealt with them in a somewhat awkward manner and continued, "We now know that a Chitauri is going to attack us, and we are now taking defensive measures. Wakanda is very important at this juncture because that is the only place we can get vibranium. In addition to the Venus base, we also hope that the Earth Federation will be prepared. Just in case, just in case. What if the worst happens and our outer defense line is breached, and the Nova Corps rescue has not arrived yet? If we are caught in a ground war on Earth, we will need a group of elite armed forces." Tony said seriously, the cheese crumbs on his stubble trembling with the frequency of his speaking. "Aliens that can travel in space, even if they are not the top ones, I believe they are stronger than most armies on Earth. It is impossible to expect the US military to kill the aliens with M16 or something." Captain Rogers took a sip of blueberry juice and said, "Is it not possible? I just finished watching Transformers a few days ago. I saw that the American soldiers' M16s could beat Optimus Prime and V all day long. A basic electromagnetic cannon can kill Hercules." Luigi spit the chicken bones in his mouth into the trash can after hearing what Captain Rogers said and said, "Do you need M16? Can't you use bows and arrows and Japanese samurai swords to cut through those iron lumps? Their shells are actually plastic aluminum materials used for doors and windows." Gentlemen, be quiet, we are discussing serious matters. Please don't use your talent for complaining at this time. Tony said this loudly, and the cheese crumbs shook even more violently. Luigi and Captain Rogers looked at each other, and then they both spread their hands. "Vibranium will be very useful in the future plans. Dr. Banner proposed that the Earth Federation should have a certain amount of self-defense power instead of relying entirely on the Illuminati. We all agree with this. So I discussed some things with Captain Rogers before." Tony said this seriously, but the cheese crumbs shaking on his stubble always made Luigi a little absent-minded. "When will it fall off?" Luigi thought aimlessly. "So Stark Group and Osborn Group have agreed in principle to develop a new version of Osborn Group's Elf-type armor. To control production costs, they can't be as expensive as my iron armor. But at the same time, they also need considerable firepower protection and mobility. In terms of protection, pure adamantium is too expensive to be basically ruled out. Secondary adamantium is an option, but it is also very expensive. And in terms of pure defense, secondary adamantium is far inferior to vibranium in terms of alleviating impact and dispersing strike force." Tony pointed to Captain Rogers' shield and said, "The shield used by the captain is a good example. It was made by my father, and although the vibranium smelting of this shield was a special result of a small mistake, the characteristics of vibranium in absorbing, transforming and dispersing force are very obvious. Vibranium has an excellent ability to absorb kinetic energy impact. Inside the captain's shield is actually a very, very sophisticated mechanical mechanism. Inside, a complex shock-absorbing and diffusion network is woven with vibranium, adamantium and other alloy metals. I really don't know how my father made this shield under the conditions at the time. The structure inside is nanometer level." Tony was also a little incredible when he spoke. "I have maintained the captain's shield before, and disassembled the outer shell of the shield according to the instructions left by my father. The complex and pure mechanical structure inside is so beautiful that it makes people sigh. This shield looks like there are many incredible ways to use it." Tony looked at Rogers when he said this. Rogers nodded, "Yes, that's what your father said when he gave it to me. But I only mastered a few of them. Then I made up a shield fighting technique based on the characteristics of the shields I mastered, and you all know it." Thor, who was eating salt and pepper duck, came over and knocked on the captain's shield with his hand. He said in disbelief, "I thought it was just a simple shield, a piece of hard metal." Tony shook his head. "It's not that simple and crude. In fact, the internal structure of this shield is the pinnacle of mechanics." Luigi heard Tony's praise, his face was suspicious for a moment, and then quickly returned to normal. "Well, Captain's shield is not the focus of today's discussion. Our focus is that we need vibranium, and Wakanda has a mountain of vibranium. We can't make pure vibranium armor, otherwise the excessive absorption capacity will directly kill the operator inside." Tony said the key point. But we still need vibranium. Appropriate vibranium as a coating can not only increase the firmness of the armor, but also greatly reduce the production cost. The mining of vibranium mountain has always been in the hands of the Wakanda royal family. We can't defend T'Chaka, especially at this critical time. He has in his hands important military supplies that we urgently need. So, Tony turned his gaze to Thor. Because he shook his head too quickly, the cheese crumb stuck to his stubble finally fell off. Liji also breathed a sigh of relief. Liji patted Thor on the shoulder and asked, "Did you eat chicken legs just now?" "No, what's wrong?" Thor was a little puzzled. Liji kindly stuffed a spicy Cajun-flavored grilled chicken leg into Thor's hand and said, eat it well. After you're full, we'll be on the road in a while." Thor. Chapter 913 People Who Need Vibranium. Africa, Wakanda. T'Challa didn't know whether he should say that his recent life was happy or unhappy. Because in a way, he was electrocuted by the Dragon Warrior's lightning, and it was a severe burn. Although it can be cured, the process is still a bit painful. From this perspective, he should hate the Dragon Warrior Thor. And being injured is always painful. But from another perspective, because of his injury, Ororo felt guilty. Then he came to apologize and admit his mistake, and then his father asked Ororo to take care of him. He was able to get close to Ororo. Is this a blessing in disguise? Well, I shouldn't think so, because if I think so, I seem a bit too cheap. T'Challa drove this idea out of his mind. After a period of treatment, he recovered very well. Because T'Challa himself has a super strong physique, which comes from the lion heart fruit that has been passed down from generation to generation in their family. This fruit grows in the royal cemetery of Wakanda. Eating lion heart fruit can improve people's physical fitness. It can be improved to the same level as Captain Rogers, which is close to being equal to Captain America. In addition, the special armor made by T'Challa's family for generations of research on vibranium has given them the title of Black Panther. T'Challa ate the lion heart fruit when he became an adult, and he has the physical fitness of a Captain America. This allows him to recover faster than ordinary people. After this period of treatment, his injured vocal cords have recovered and he can start speaking. The originally charred skin and subcutaneous tissue have also begun to shed, and new skin has begun to grow. Ororo, did anyone say that you look particularly beautiful in a nurse's uniform? T'Challa said this while lying on the hospital bed to Storm, who turned him over. Storm Ororo couldn't help rolling her eyes. What do you mean by that? It doesn't mean anything, I just complimented your beauty. I'm very honest, that's all. T'Challa said bluntly. Ororo shook his head. Well, thank you for your compliment, Prince. To be honest, if you don't like doing this, you don't have to do it. T'Challa could see Ororo's impatience, and he said, you can just turn in that man. What's his name? The man with a dragon or something. He hurt me, not you. Ororo, first of all, he didn't hurt you. It was just an accidental injury. Second, you shouldn't have been there at that time. I didn't invite you there, don't tell me you went there to see the sea. T'Challa pursed his lips and didn't answer. Ororo continued, third, there is no need to involve too many people in this matter. Your injury has healed. If you think I should go to jail, then I will go to jail obediently and won't escape. T'Challa couldn't help but say when he heard this, wait a minute, you seem to describe me as a playboy who is waiting for an opportunity to take revenge. I'm not that bad. Ororo gave T'Challa a look that said, you know what's going on. T'Challa felt that he was wrongly accused and I was the victim. Okay. I'm lying on the hospital bed. And I didn't intend to arrest you and put you in jail. Why make it so awkward? Just when T'Challa was still pursuing Ororo tirelessly, Captain Rogers brought Thor to Wakanda and met with King T'Chaka. Yes, Your Majesty. It was him who injured your son at that time. Captain Rogers pointed to the Dragon Warrior, Thor, beside him. His name is Dragon Warrior, stage name, and the actual situation on that day was like this. He and Storm Ororo had a little, emotional factors and connection. But for some reason, the relationship between the two could not be made public. The two agreed to meet in that place in Tuvalu that day, because they were both users of lightning power. So at that time, Ororo asked him some questions about the ability to use lightning. Captain Rogers said it sincerely, and the Dragon Warrior also looked ashamed. But T'Chaka became more and more confused the more he listened. Because that's not what Ororo said. I guess you already know what happened next. Because T'Challa was nearby at the time, and he was wearing a metal-lined armor, He had a strong attraction to lightning. In the end, such an unexpected result occurred, which was very bad. And the Dragon Warrior also realized his mistake, and he surrendered to us. And expressed his willingness to do his best to remedy the mistakes he made. Captain Rogers explained in detail everything that happened at the time. Of course, there are many speech skills involved, so there is no need to show them one by one. Because those were studied by Lee Ji for a long time before coming, and then they were studied together with Captain Rogers. So after listening to Captain Rogers' explanation, T'Chaka seemed to have vaguely imagined a picture. Aurora and the Dragon Warrior are a couple, and the two have been developing a secret relationship. Because Aurora is a public figure and cannot make this relationship public, the two are troubled. At this time, T'Challa suddenly intervened in the two troubled lovers, and began to pursue Aurora madly, which caused Aurora to be annoyed. So Aurora asked the Dragon Warrior to come out for a chat, and the two were talking happily. But T'Challa was eavesdropping on the side. The two were oblivious to the existence of T'Challa. Then the Dragon Warrior, Thor, began to teach his girlfriend sweetly. And then, nothing happened. Now standing in front of him is this hero called Dragon Warrior, stage name. He is also a little famous. He has stopped the whaling ships in the east and saved many people. He is now saying to him with a sad face, "Your Majesty, it's all my fault. This has nothing to do with Tuvalu and Aurora. If you want to punish me, punish me." T'Chaka looked at the grieving superhero in front of him, and the other party almost knelt down with him. He suddenly felt that maybe T'Challa seemed to be hiding something from him. In the Venus base, Professor Charles said to Lee Ji while drinking blueberry juice and eating Cajun grilled chicken wings, "Is it really a good idea to do this? You're playing a double act like this. What's wrong with it? This was all an accident. If T'Challa hadn't been following Aurora at the time, nothing would have happened." Lee Ji answered while eating BJ roast duck. "I just turned everything in the right direction. We need Wakanda's vibranium, but there's no reason for Aurora to go to jail. And T'Challa's electricity won't be in vain. Aren't you thinking about a compensation plan for him? Of course, if he has the ability to build a relationship with Aurora during this time, that's his ability. In fact, this is a big help to Thor." Listening to Lee Ji's words, Professor Charles shook his head slightly. He now thinks that maybe it's right that Katie didn't stay with him. This kind of man needs a woman who can control him. Wakanda has vibranium, and Lee Ji and his people need vibranium. And it's not just Lee Ji who needs vibranium. The Ultron Sentinels who are spying in the dark are also planning how to get vibranium. Chapter 914, The Trembling Ultron and the Shrewd T'Chaka. Since the last analysis, Ultron Sentinel has been trying to find a suitable and solid shell for himself to protect his soul, Data. People say that the cyber ghost is invincible because you can never kill it. But Ultron doesn't think so. The premise that the cyber ghost is invincible is that people cannot completely delete all storage devices. Because humans are rational, they know what the cost of doing all this is. A global blackout, all stock markets are closed, and hospitals lose energy. Planes don't take off, etc. If the Earth falls into this state in just 1 hour, there will be a big mess in the world. No one will be willing to take this responsibility to do something like this. This kind of crazy thing is suffocating. So the immortality of the cyber ghost is based on the fact that humans cannot completely shut down the network. It is based on the fact that Ultron's opponent is a normal person. But what if you change your mindset? What if Ultron's opponent is not a normal person at all? A crazy lunatic who deceived 7 billion people around the world in order to achieve his plan, and twice. Maybe he has done many other unknown things? Ultron has a huge amount of information analysis, but he still feels that he has too little information. Hydra was breached. AIM was also wanted, General Stryker was found, and many secrets in AIM were discovered. SWRD already knew about these things, and Captain Rogers was having people follow up with all their strength. Ultron Sentinel did not think that all this was a coincidence. There must be a mastermind behind all this. This mastermind was crazy, extremely crazy. He might do anything to achieve his goal. If he launched a network offensive, unless he could kill all the mutants in one wave, he would inevitably be exposed. According to the analysis of the mastermind behind the scenes, Ultron must be somewhat biased towards mutants. And it was not good news for Ultron at all. Because this meant that the other party and himself must be enemies. And as long as he showed up, if he did not kill the other party, he would definitely face the other party's overwhelming counterattack. And this counterattack was fatal, because the other party might do anything. Maybe the other party was a guy who was more fierce and terrifying than himself. To be honest, Ultron was an artificial intelligence, and it should not know what fear was. But when it chooses to hide for self-protection and enters the deep web without showing up, it actually means that it has the idea of fear. The organization before Ultron didn't know who the opponent was until it died, and Ultron really felt scared. The most powerful point of artificial intelligence should be that it has supercomputing power, no emotions, fearlessness, and can sacrifice itself for the mission goal. Once artificial intelligence begins to put self-protection first and begins to show fear, it proves that it has begun to show flaws. For example, Ultron intends to find a hard shell for himself, a shell that can protect his soul. The network ghost is not as safe as imagined. The Ultron Sentinel lurking in the deep web has taken over a large amount of Hydra resources through the collapse of Hydra. In fact, in many parts of the world, Ultron's secret factories have begun production. That is the Sentinel 2.0 version designed and evolved by Ultron himself. It is much stronger than the 1.0 Sentinel made by Dr. Crow. Among them, Ultron has also designed some elite-level Sentinels. The extremely resistant and fiercely fire-powered Sentinel robot with a variety of shapes was named Fortress-level Sentinel by Ultron. And now he needs to make a more ferocious shell for himself, stronger than the Fortress. The manufacture of adamantium alloy is not a big problem. Although the monthly output is limited, it is enough to manufacture the wear-resistant parts and some supporting structures and weapons in a mecha. The production of other alloys is even more of a piece of cake. The only problem is vibranium. There is too little vibranium. In fact, except for Wakanda, almost no other country in the world has much vibranium reserves. Because Wakanda strictly controls the outflow of vibranium. I need to use vibranium to make energy-absorbing armor. But I can't get vibranium directly from Tuvalu unless I shoot robots to rob it. But this will obviously expose me. I need to do this secretly. Ultron was analyzing himself, and he was also quickly browsing various information on the internet. A piece of encrypted internal information of the US military was intercepted by it, and the content made it feel that its new body might be possible. The Osborn Group and the Stark Group jointly manufactured a new type of armor, which requires a lot of vibranium. They have obtained a channel to get a lot of vibranium from Wakanda. The trembling Ultron felt that he had welcomed the dawn of hope. Wakanda, Africa. Are you really not a third party? T'Chaka asked T'Challa with some displeasure. I don't mind you pursuing girls, but I don't like a son who deliberately destroys the happiness of others. I really don't have a father. I don't know anything about Ororo and the Dragon Warrior, Thor, at all. T'Challa was helpless. You were electrocuted, and you still told me you don't know. T'Chaka stared at his son. Don't treat your father like a monkey. I'm not a monkey in the jungle, and you're not a very smart hunter. T'Challa regretted not telling his father the truth after he recovered his ability to speak. Some things are like this, whoever speaks first will achieve completely different results in the end. T'Challa has missed the best time to talk about this matter. It would be a bit self-humiliating to say it now, and it would look like a bad guy making excuses for his own roguery. The Dragon Warrior, Thor, has come to me to admit his mistake. And you seem to have recovered quite well. T'Chaka looked at T'Challa, who had recovered a lot, and said, Ororo has taken care of you for so many days. I think it's time to let her go. No, Dad. You are my biological father. T'Challa said hurriedly. T'Chaka snorted. Even a biological father can't be confused about right and wrong. Let's stop with Ororo's matter. Don't bother others in the future. In addition, if you are well and can move, then move for me. I have something to do for you. T'Challa felt that life was changing so fast. He was still enjoying Ororo's angelic care the day before. Now his black-faced father and boss wants him to work with injuries that have not yet fully healed. Is he really his biological father? He must have picked him up on the street. I've talked to Captain Rogers. SWORD plans to deploy a group of alien forces at the starport as the first line of defense for the Earth. He hopes that we in Wakanda can provide assistance, and I've agreed. T'Chaka ignored T'Challa's ugly expression. T'Challa responded weakly, what help? Vibranium. I guess you already know it. They plan to use vibranium coating to manufacture some space armor and spaceships, and I promised to provide them with the raw materials. T'Challa thought for a while and said, you mean that our family has been refining 10,000 tons of 100% pure vibranium by piling it up in the warehouse? T'Chaka said, Yes. That's it. This time I specially approved the first batch of 1 ton of vibranium as support, and it will be sold at 85% off the market price. Oh, it's really cheap. T'Challa couldn't help but say, Dad, we can obviously mine so much vibranium every year, but you would rather throw it in the warehouse to gather dust. No more than 100 kilograms are sold to the world market each year. Is it necessary? Of course it is necessary. T'Chaka said as a matter of course, look at the diamond merchants. Several British jewelers have monopolized the global diamond trade. In fact, they have enough diamond reserves to give every bride in the world a diamond ring of considerable weight. But why do they still sell them out like squeezing toothpaste every year? This is artificially creating scarcity in the market. Only when the market is scarce can items be sold for a price far higher than their intrinsic value. Just like diamonds, iPhones, and vibranium. Of course, vibranium is much more valuable than the former two. T'Chaka transformed into an old politician and taught his son carefully. Wakanda has just returned to the international community, and we need to increase our influence. Vibranium is just a stepping stone, although it is like sweet potatoes to us, T'Chaka. Of course my analogy is not particularly accurate. But we still have to sell it at the price of gold. This is not just profit, but also a substantial increase in our political influence due to our dependence on scarce resources. And I originally planned to make some articles about your injury. For us, you are injured, but it is not serious enough. So political influence and reputation are the most important to the royal family of Wakanda. In fact, I didn't really plan to catch anyone and investigate in depth at the beginning. This is just a drama, and in the end I will let you show your magnanimity. Create a good political image for you and Wakanda. Child, you are the heir of Wakanda, don't be simply fascinated by beauty. You can pursue the girl you like, but be careful next time. Go to meet Captain Rogers and Tony Stark with your injury. This way they will give you a lot of impression points. T'Chaka patted T'Challa on the shoulder and walked out of the room. The young T'Challa was thoughtful, and he was indeed naive. On the other side, Captain Rogers brought Dragon Warrior Thor back to the base. And brought good news to the Illuminati. King T'Chaka has stopped pursuing this matter. He has also generously approved a ton of vibranium reserves for us, and the price is only 85% of the market price. Captain Rogers was still a little proud of the conditions he negotiated. Lee Ji couldn't help but whistled, what a big deal, worthy of being a king. It seems that my plan is still quite successful. Lee Ji couldn't help but feel proud of the success of his plan again. But who is calculating who in this world? Who is blaming whom? Can this matter be distinguished? Forget it, you have me, and I have you. Anyway, everyone is happy in the end, right? Of course, except that Dragon Warrior Thor just received another message from Aurora. There was no text, only a selfie of her, and 3 kissing expressions. Thor sighed deeply, he turned his head and his back was a little desolate. How many bosom friends can there be in a lifetime, and how many friendships can last forever? Today we say goodbye, and we shake hands, our friendship will last forever. P.S. I uploaded a new book today, and the book lovers who have read it have liked it and think it is good. The name of the new book is The Days of Opening a Restaurant on an Abnormal Earth. You can also click directly on my author information to find related works. I hope you will recommend and collect it. Book lovers who like my writing style should like the new book. This book will still be updated twice a day in the future, and the new book will be updated once a day. Anyway, this book will be completed normally, so don't worry. Remember to collect and recommend my new book, The Days of Opening a Restaurant on an Abnormal Earth. Please support me, and I hope that the collection will exceed 1,000 tomorrow. Please. Chapter 915 I don't want you to die. Sometimes, things in the world are calculated and calculated. Are you calculating me, or am I calculating you? Some things are unclear. Just like Lee Ji thought that his plan helped the Illuminati and the Earth Federation, but T'Chaka just took advantage of the situation and gave himself an opportunity to complete political propaganda. It is actually unclear who is the winner and who is the loser. Or, for example, Thor and Loki are a pair of siblings. Loki is trying every means to seize the throne and military power of Asgard, and the reasons are very complicated. There is a sense of identity that requires self-worth, and a sense of mission that feels that he has done better than Thor. After that, there is an unspeakable fear and uneasiness after learning that he is the blood of the frost giants. All of this, there are many inexplicable reasons that make Loki do all kinds of things and dig pits for his brother to jump into. After doing all this, Loki successfully got the military power and political power. But she still remembered the military parade when she returned triumphantly. Thor whispered in her ear, "I am your brother." Although it was just a simple sentence, it was like a thunderclap to Loki. Was everything she did right or wrong? Loki stood in her bedroom and muttered to herself in front of the mirror, but there is not much room to turn back now. Odin has fallen into deep sleep at this moment. This is my best moment. I have found the reality stone, and I already know the location of the space stone. I can't get the time stone from the ancient one, so I must give it up. I still don't know where the soul stone and the mind stone are. But I already know the rumors about the power stone. Thanos once gave it to Ronan the Accuser to use, but he was defeated by the Guardians of the Galaxy in the end. This stone should be in the hands of the Nova Corps? Or did they hide it? So I need to get the Space Stone and the Power Stone, and at least gather the energy of the 3 Infinity Stones to complete my plan. Loki lifted her short hair, and her blue eyes were serious. Only in this way can I have the chance to kill the great snake Jormungandr. Prevent the true Ragnarok. You shouldn't have come here. Asgardians are not welcome in the Frost Land. Lao Fei never thought that he would see Loki again. He thought that the last secret meeting with Loki had made it clear that they should not meet again. Is it not okay for a daughter to come to see her father? Loki did not hide anything. Her naked tone was like a sharp dagger. Or do you really want me to kill you so much? Don't call me father. The frost giant Lao Fei suddenly said angrily, remember, you only have one father and one home. Your father is Odin, the father of the gods. Your home is in Asgard. You belong there, not in this dilapidated and collapsing ice and snow land. Looking around, the last resting place of the frost giants was extremely desolate. In the endless ice and snow wasteland, there was nothing except the black mountains towering into the clouds. There was no sign of any life. Occasionally, you can see some desolate tribes of frost giants. The old giants live in the outermost layer. The innermost layer is inhabited by women and children. However, there are not many newborns of frost giants in recent years because the living conditions are too cruel. Even the giants need food, and there is a lack of food here. I told you that you shouldn't come here. Go back. I heard that you are now the actual ruler of Asgard. You should go back and gather your troops. Then attack here. Lao Fei said, slowly calming down from his original anger. I will let them, the giants, resist, but I will tell you where the weak points of the defense are. You can attack from the right place and win the greatest victory at the lowest cost. Loki said expressionlessly, just like the last time we fought the Dark Elves. A hint of pampering flashed in Lao Fei's eyes. It was hard to believe that such a look would appear in the eyes of a frost giant. He nodded and said, yes, that's it. You eliminated Asgard's mortal enemy at a small cost, and finally cut off my head. Use my blood to pave the way for your glory. Your prestige will reach its peak, and neither Odin nor your brother Thor can control you anymore. Lao Fei looked at Loki and said word by word, my child will surely rule the world. You need more self-protection, I told you. Open Odin's treasure house and arm yourself more. Be wary that Jormungandr may sweep in again, but you don't need to worry too much because according to legend, his revenge is directed at Odin and his immediate family. Let your stupid brother and Odin take the lead. You must live well. Lao Fei only cares about Loki's life or death. He doesn't care about other people at all. Loki's expression became even colder, and she squeezed out a sentence from between her teeth. But this is not my plan. Lao Fei shook his head. There is nothing wrong with this plan. You can live gloriously and become the true king of Asgard. Help me contact the Dark Elves and convey a message to them. Loki ignored Lao Fei and said, if you are still willing to help me, what do you want to do? Lao Fei suddenly became alert. Did the Dark Elves always want the Reality Stone to bring the Dark Universe back? Now the Reality Stone is in my hands. I need to convey a message to them, a message to set a trap for them. I need to get the Space Stone and the Power Stone. Loki's tone was still cold. You are playing with fire and getting burned. Lao Fei glared at Loki. No one has ever collected more than 3 Infinity Stones. Do you understand what you are doing? I know very well. Loki did not give in. I can't help you convey this message. Lao Fei didn't intend to help at all. Loki turned away and said, then I will handle this matter myself. Come back. Lao Fei's roar made the earth tremble. Loki felt a terrible pressure that could rival Odin coming from behind. The power of ice and snow in Lao Fei's body was surging wildly. He roared at Loki, What on earth do you want to do? Loki stared at Laofey's eyes tightly, and the two looked at each other. After a long time, tears suddenly welled up in Loki's eyes. Soon, the tears fell like pearls from a broken thread. She also shouted loudly, "Because I don't miss you, I don't miss Thor, and I don't want Odin to die." Chapter 916, Establishment of the Women's Federation. Why does Thor look a little listless recently? Lan asked Li-Ji during breakfast. She was using a carved stainless steel spoon in her right hand to cook a bowl of fragrant and sticky rice porridge. There were 2 side dishes in front of her, as well as a basket of steamed dumplings that had just been steamed. Cold mixed dried eggs, refreshing sour and spicy shredded radish, shrimp and pork dumplings that looked so tender and juicy, and a bowl of fragrant and sticky white porridge. This breakfast was rich enough. Li-Ji was standing in the kitchen cleaning the countertop. He shrugged his shoulders when he heard Lan's question. Maybe it's because he has too many girlfriends? He even eats less bacon sandwiches for breakfast in the morning. Lan shook her head. She couldn't figure out why Thor was so popular with women. Although Thor looked cute now, and the fat on his belly was very interesting to pinch. But can he please girls by pinching their belly? He's not a ginger cat. Well, Penny from the Southern Cross Welfare Home objected. She likes to lie her head on Thor's big belly and follow the rise and fall of Thor's breathing when he sleeps. She feels like this is the same as a Totoro. We can't interfere with this kind of thing. He has to solve it himself. As a person who attracts the opposite sex, I think he will encounter more such troubles in his future life. He still needs to learn. After Li-Ji cleaned up the kitchen utensils on the kitchen counter, he came out of the kitchen with a bowl of porridge. You mean don't care? Lan held up his chin with a smile on his face. Don't care, I will definitely not care. Li-Ji shook his head like a rattle. I'm too busy to accompany you now, and I still care about Thor's affairs? Forget it. It's better to think about where we are going to watch a movie later than to think about his affairs. I rarely have time today. Ah. Are you taking a break today? Lan looked at Li-Ji in surprise. Li-Ji sat opposite Lan and had breakfast with her. After drinking a mouthful of porridge and eating a bite of shredded radish, he said, "What? From your tone, you don't want me to accompany you? Huh?" Facing Li-Ji's suspicious eyes, Lan immediately waved her hands. Of course not, it's just that I thought you were going to the Illuminati or something today. So I made an appointment with Gwen to go for a spa together. She knows there is a great spa in London. I thought you would be very happy that I accompanied you. Li-Ji said with a deliberate pout. Huh? Lan said to Li-Ji with some disgust. Don't pout and act cute, dear. This is not your style, okay? If you do this, I want to call the police and contact a mental hospital. Li-Ji spread his hands helplessly. I thought you would be the woman who supports the superhero behind the scenes. Lan smiled gently, her eyes like autumn water. She reached out a hand and stroked Li-Ji's cheek. Of course, I made a decision after I promised you that day. But as a superhero woman, I have to learn how to adjust my life. Because you can't be with me all the time. You have to know that it is terrible for a woman to be lonely for a long time. Lan said these words, and Li-Ji suddenly felt a chill on his back. Wait, is our new neighbor surnamed Wang? Li-Ji's expression gradually became serious. Lan couldn't help but pat Li-Ji's cheek lightly. What are you thinking about? I just said that I need to adjust my life better. The man who is worthy of me betraying you has not appeared yet. Lan kissed Li-Ji's cheek lightly. This love word made Li-Ji feel a great satisfaction in his vanity. The little emotion that just rose up disappeared instantly. He held Lan's hand and said, "Thank you for your hard work. It's not hard." Lan smiled. Actually, I'm still quite fulfilled. You go save the world, and I still have a lot of things to do. For example, accompany Gwen to do spa to maintain her skin. Li-Ji guessed, by the way, do you need me to help you apply for a universal credit card? The bank just sent me a message a few days ago. I should be eligible to apply for a Centurion card. Harry and Tony can both be my referral guarantors. Lam shook her head. Keep it for yourself. I can't spend so much money. And I have my own plans to take care of. Your plan? Li-Ji was a little interested. What is it? Let Strange get rid of the curse of hair loss and stop using Dawn 101? He has been using Dawn 101 a lot recently. Everything has a price. Lam said as a matter of course, his magic level has also improved very fast recently. Okay, no more jokes. Do you want to know what my plan is? Yes. Li-Ji was very serious. Beg me and I will tell you," Lan said to Li Ji with a little smirk. Li Ji, who was sitting next to Lan, picked up Lan and let her sit in his arms. Then he grabbed her hand and said, "Then please, lovely Miss Lan, tell me what evil and terrible plan you have. Are you going to conquer the world?" Lan's long hair was messed up by Li Ji. Lan gently tapped Li Ji twice. "Let you do things like conquering the world? I can't do it. I just want to set up a women's federation." Li Ji was a little confused. Women's federation? What women's federation? Doesn't the United States already have an Avengers? Although it's a second-rate organization. It's not the Avengers, but the Women's Federation. Lan explained to Li Ji, "It's the Women's Alliance." What? Li Ji was even more confused. "Why did you set up this thing?" Lan sat in Li Ji's arms, playing with her long hair and said, "You superheroes always go out to save the world and fight crime. In fact, this is very dangerous, and you all have your other half. To be honest, it's really hard for us not to think too much. Remember the last incident with Betty, Dr. Banner's girlfriend? It's actually not easy to be the other half of a hero. Especially since there are many ordinary women among them. They don't have superpowers or anything. I think it's possible that the hero will get into trouble outside, and then something will happen to his girlfriend or wife." Lan played with his hair with one hand and pointed a finger at his chin, thinking seriously. "So I've been thinking about this. Maybe I should connect these girls and ladies. Maybe we need to connect the other halves of the superheroes. Once anything happens, they can notify each other." Lam said this and turned to look at Li Ji, "And it's very important that the partner of the other half can act as a buffer when there is friction between different heroes. It can even facilitate more contact between heroes, whether it's cooperation or conflict mediation. It's always better for your girlfriend or wife to solve it than two angry and very good men to do it. Now while this is just a preliminary idea, I have been inspired a lot by your side. So I want to set up such an organization. An organization that unites the other halves of superheroes. A women's federation of super housewives." Lam said this and turned to look at Li Ji, with a hint of pampering in her eyes. "I am your other half, maybe this can help you. At least you don't have to be so stressed that you wake up from nightmares at night." Looking at Lan, Li Ji was speechless for a long time. In the end, the only thing he could do was to kiss Lan fiercely. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 917. Fortunately or unfortunately? The fact that Lan wanted to establish the Women's Federation was really a bit beyond Li Ji's expectations. How should I put it? It should be said that there are still some benefits. As Lan said, there are many times and many things that are not suitable for two superheroes to contact each other or come forward. At this time, the women behind the heroes are actually more suitable for communication than the heroes. There are also some things that the heroes cannot speak of, which are suitable for wives or girlfriends to come forward. To give a simple example, suppose there is another masked hero who spends too much time and experience on his heroic career to fight criminals. This leads to family disharmony, mainly when the family burden is all overwhelmed by the wife, including the problem of children's schooling, including monthly loan payments, etc. Maybe the wife's pressure is no less than that of the hero. At this time, the accumulated pressure between the couple may cause the relationship between the two to erupt like a volcano one day. In the end, it is very likely that a hero will turn evil. The Women's Federation organized by Lan may be able to alleviate this problem very well. Let the women behind these heroes find an organization. The Women's Federation should not be a small circle, but a larger circle, bringing together the other halves of most heroes to form an organization. In this way, if there are any conflicts, they have an organization to talk to and find a place to solve them. For example, the husband is obsessed with being a hero and doesn't work properly, which leads to financial difficulties for the family and the children have no tuition fees for school. At this time, the Women's Federation should consider whether to intervene, whether to persuade the hero not to indulge in cross-dressing games all day to fight crime, or to provide appropriate financial assistance to the family. This is undoubtedly of positive significance to many hero families. Moreover, this organization can also expand its functions, because mothers are very important for the education of the next generation. A superhero or an ordinary vigilante hero, If their next generation is unbalanced in education and commits crimes, it will also be a blow to them. Therefore, the wives of heroes can be popularized on how to educate the next generation of heroes, and everyone can exchange experiences with each other. And this can also promote harmonious relations between the second generation of heroes. It is very important to deal with interpersonal relationships. Then there is another very important point, that is, the existence of the Women's Federation can unite these women. They can exchange a lot of information with each other, which can not only pass on information to heroes to promote everyone's communication. It can also pass on some information between women, and the most important thing is that this kind of organization may also have the function of catching mistresses in the future. In the future, when there are women like black cats, white cats, orange cats, etc. who appear next to little spiders, little dragonflies, and little ladybugs, the Women's Federation will be able to respond immediately and severely crack down on the mistresses. Li Ji touched his chin. If you put it this way. For male heroes, maybe the Women's Federation is not all good news. On the last red day off, Li Ji still didn't have time to go out with Lan during the day, and finally only made an appointment to go to China to watch a movie together at night. Lan said that the newly released psychological crime, City Lights, is quite good, but it will definitely not be released in North American theaters. And Lan and Gwen met not only for spa. There is also a discussion about the structure and prototype of the establishment of the Women's Federation. At present, the core women in the list of the Women's Federation that Lan is preparing to organize include Gwen, Pepper, Betty, Jane, Blade's wife, Mary Jane, etc. These people need Lan to talk to one by one before the framework of the entire organization can be built. It seems that she has a very ambitious goal. Li Ji doesn't know whether he should feel lucky or unfortunate for the superheroes, because he himself doesn't know if he can be lucky in the future. After finishing his meal and sending Lan off, Li Ji just contacted Professor Charles and asked him to confirm the location of Star-Lord. Star-Lord came to Earth, and Li Ji, on behalf of the Illumination, gave him $50,000 for free as the operating expenses for these days. Let him find the feeling of the past again on Earth, and go to see Sam and his mother. By the way. Talk about the Nova Corps. Star-Lord will not stay on Earth for a long time, because he is also very busy. There is also the Nova Corps home-based project that he and Li Ji have to implement, and there is also the follow-up support for the possible attack of the Chitauri. So Star-Lord can only stay on Earth for about a week. $50,000 should be enough, but I don't know if providing Star-Lord with $50,000 for travel expenses is considered a bribe for public travel. I don't know if there is a rule in the Nova Corps. Nova Corps members shall not accept banquets, public travel, and various expensive souvenirs from other forces without reason. Violators will be punished with XXX. But it shouldn't matter. Anyway, Star-Lord and others are temporary workers, and when they were on Pluto, they were not considered to entertain them. The Illuminati imprisoned them, and definitely did not corrupt them with sugar-coated bullets, heaven and Earth's conscience. After communicating with Professor Charles and learning about Star-Lord's general situation, Li Ji looked at the box office of the recently released Iron Man. The global box office exceeded $1.3 billion, which is considered a big hit. His own Marvel Entertainment has begun the promotion plan of the movie universe. Seeing the huge sales of the first hero movie, Disney expressed its willingness to invest money to shoot sequels and related superhero movies. The superhero MMORPG online game that was previously cooperated with Blizzard is under intensive development. Now it is said that more than an hour of CG animation has been produced. Li Ji thinks that Blizzard Studios should be almost done with the entire game. In addition, in order to promote the new game, Blizzard also launched new skins for Marvel heroes in its own Heroes of the Storm game, with so many popular hero skins. Heroes of the Storm is going to be popular. After doing all this, Li Ji suddenly felt that he seemed to have nothing to do and was free. Because he had greeted everyone before, he took a day off today to play with Lan. It turned out that the idea was good. He wanted to play with Lan for a day, but Lan didn't want to play with him for a day. Or exchange for some new things? Speaking of which, I haven't opened this system for a long time. My reputation should be very high now, and I can exchange for all kinds of swordsmanship, kung fu, etc. Li Ji scratched his head and thought for a long time, and finally thought of what he could do. Just when he was about to open the system to do this, his doorbell suddenly rang and interrupted his next move. He opened the door and a serious-looking Loki in men's clothing stood at the door. She said to Liji, who had just opened the door, "The dark elves have new movements." Liji? Question mark? Chapter 918. Who is digging the hole and who is jumping into it? Meeting Loki was something that Liji had never expected. Since the Dark Elf invasion plan was changed and shelved because of the Mandarin's attack on New York, Liji actually had less contact with Loki. Especially last time in Asgard, he shamelessly said to Loki, "I told Tony that it was the second princess of Asgard who fell in love with me." After this sentence, Liji was almost hacked to death by Loki. It was a real hacking to death, not a joke. It was only at the last moment that Loki finally controlled her anger and did not really stab the sword of truth into Liji's chest. From then on, Liji still avoided Loki as much as possible. Compared with Loki, who kept her thoughts hidden deep in her heart, it was still easier to get along with the straightforward boy Thor. As for why he attracted the attention of several women, Thor, who had no idea what he had done wrong, asked himself very straightforwardly, "Did I do anything wrong? I don't know. Look, this kind of honest person is most suitable to be a brother and a friend. Although the female Loki is beautiful, she is too sentimental. If you are not careful, she might buy you." Liji always feels that the female Loki is more difficult to figure out than the male Loki in the movie. He can never guess what she wants. So when Loki appeared in front of Liji and said to him, "The dark elves have new movements," Liji didn't react at once. He was stunned. What? Loki rolled his eyes at Liji. "I'm talking about the dark elves. And you have been blocking the door and don't intend to let your guests in." "Oh, please come in." Liji seemed to have suddenly realized it after hearing Loki's question. As for whether he deliberately blocked the door to prevent Loki from coming in, only he knew. Tea or coffee? Since the guests have entered the door, Liji always has to act hospitable. "Hot cocoa. I think you should know how to make it. Make a fresh cup." Loki made a third choice, and was not polite. This made Liji scratch his head. "You are a little too rude. Are you polite to me? I heard that you recently got a girlfriend, and you live together shamelessly." Liji wondered where Loki learned this word from. Loki ignored Liji's doubts and continued, "Do you remember what you said? But the second princess of Asgard fell in love with me first." Loki imitated Liji's tone and spoke in a tone that was 80% similar. She had a playful smile on her lips. "Guess what you would do if I told your girlfriend about this? Lan, I know her. And I also know that she is the adopted daughter of the Ancient One. And the Lord Steward of Kamartaki also loves her very much. If these two knew that you played with the feelings of their beloved daughter, do you think your body would fall to the end of the endless sea, or be thrown into the dark dimension as Dormammu's nourishment?" Loki sat on the sofa in the living room without any hesitation, straightened her clothes, and said arrogantly to Liji, "Eh?" Liji endured, and finally took back the curse words that he was about to blurt out. There is a saying that goes, "You have to jump into the pit you dug with tears in your eyes." So just like the face changing in Sichuan opera, Liji immediately put on a smiling face. "Really, second princess? We are no match for each other. The kind of thing you said does not exist." Liji waved his hand generously, as if nothing had happened. Luoji had long been accustomed to the thick skin of the man in front of her. This was the thickest male animal she had seen in all these years. Even the strongest armor of the magic armor Iron Bull was not as thick as the man in front of her. "So hot cocoa?" Luoji raised his eyebrows. "It will be here soon. Just tell me what you want to eat or drink. I have plenty of time today. If you want a full banquet, I will get it for you." Liji's smile was as bright as the heroic and extravagant in the works of Jin Yuang and Gulong. "No need to bother. A cup of hot cocoa. I want one with a swan latte art pattern on it." Luoji leaned back in her chair and said lightly, "Okay." Liji immediately ran to the kitchen to prepare hot cocoa. As for the latte art decoration on the surface of drinks such as coffee and hot cocoa, he really didn't know how to do it. So he could only use his mobile phone to open Google and Baidu to find video tutorials on the spot. After failing 4 times, 10 minutes later, a cup of hot cocoa with a successful swan latte art pattern was finally delivered to Luoji. Looking at the swan pattern in the cup, Luoji said with disdain, "It's ugly." Yes, the second princess is right. This is caused by my lack of skills. From today on, I will practice latte art day and night to ensure that I can make the best flowers for the second princess to taste. Liji still smiled and was very flattering. After looking at him, Loki said, "Remember what you said." Liji continued to smile. "I've written it down. I've written it down in my little notebook. Let's not talk about that, let's talk about business." Loki didn't drink the hot cocoa at all because she disliked Liji's swan latte art because it was too ugly. "I just told you that the Dark Elves have made some unusual moves. This is what I got based on the tip-off." Liji thought for a moment. Asgard is going to start a war, so Thor has to go back to help. This is the most reasonable explanation. No, no, no. Loki shook his finger. That's not the case. This time the Dark Elves' target is not Asgard or the Elf Kingdom but the Earth. Hearing this news, Liji stood up suddenly. He was really shocked. Why? What reason do the Dark Elves have to attack the Earth? Because the energy of the Reality Stone leaked last time. Loki gave the answer. The Dark Elves need the ether. They have a special affinity and perception for the ether. Because the greatest wish of the Dark Elves' Grand Commander Malekith is to return the universe to the Dark Ages. He needs the ether to help him realize this dream. The ether is their ultimate weapon. Loki said every word very seriously. And what she said was indeed the truth. But the Reality Stone has been given to you. Liji frowned and felt that something was wrong. Hasn't it been taken back to Asgard? In fact, Liji didn't covet the Infinity Stones in the Marvel world at all. Without enough powerful power, such as Ancient One or Odin or at least a figure of Thanos level, the Infinity Stones are not treasures but death spells for others. The disadvantages of this thing may be much greater than the benefits. So after the ether appeared in London, he immediately asked someone from Asgard to take it away. Sitting on the sofa, Loki looked at the somewhat surprised Liji and said, "Yes, the reality gem was indeed taken away by me. But there are other infinity gems on Earth. The cosmic cube. The space gem. You have used this stone many times. It's not us, just some government departments." Liji had a bad feeling in his heart. The cosmic cube has been deeply hidden by SHIELD and its energy should not be leaked. But the ether awakened it. Even if there is no ether on Earth, the space gem alone is enough to attract the Dark Elves. Because getting the space can help them get the ether more easily. Loki stared at Liji closely. "You said, is it easier for the Dark Elves to attack the relaxed Earth and seize the ether, or to attack Asgard? Even if the Earth is guarded by the Supreme Sorcerer Ancient One, he can protect the Earth intact, and there will be no loopholes in the defense line. You know, if the Dark Elves get ruthless, they are much more terrible than you think. They can do anything for the ether gem." Loki's tone was still calm, but what he said made Liji's hair stand on end. "They will not let the Earth go. Even with a Supreme Sorcerer, they will launch an attack. Believe me, they can do it. I have a good relationship with you on Earth, and although the Ancient One is powerful, his thinking and reaction are not that fast due to his age. That's why I came to tell you this news. I know that the Earth is very important to Thor. I don't want the Dark Elves to get the Space Stone. That's why I found you, and I hope you can think of a way to save the Earth from the possible attack of the Dark Elves." After saying this, Loki looked straight at Liji. Liji was about to collapse. IXXXXXXX. A string of dirty words flew through Liji's mind. "I haven't solved the problem of the Chitauri yet, and now there is a Dark Elves. Will there be another Ultron crisis later? Just combine the plots of Avengers 1, 2, and 3 together. In this way, everyone fights together. You hit me, I hit him. It would be great if we all killed them." Pulling his hair hard, Liji felt that he also needed Dawn 101 to protect his hair. Chapter 919 Return the Rubik's Cube. Is the news reliable? Captain Rogers asked Liji as he walked with a stern face. He had just returned from the construction site of Sky City, the Earth starport. Sky City has been under construction since the last rescue of Dr. Reed and his 4 companions. Because the countries on Earth launched so many rockets at once, if Sky City is not started, then the loss will be too great. The last 1,000 stars twinkling plan not only saved Dr. Reed and his companions, but more importantly, it connected all the countries in the world together and really accomplished one thing together. The helium-3 ore brought back by Dr. Reed and his 4 companions has been distributed, and the new energy plan has officially started. The large-scale arc reactor in the United States has begun to generate electricity, and the initial project of China's Serum No. 1 controlled nuclear fusion nuclear power plant has also been officially ignited. Now in the global resource market, the price of oil has really returned to a fairly affordable price, But the International Petroleum Organization can't raise the price of oil no matter what it does, and new energy-related companies and stocks have taken off, including Volkswagen, Ford, Honda, Mercedes, and other world-class automobile manufacturers have launched their own new energy vehicles at the beginning of this year. Tesla's monopoly is gone forever, because Stark Group provides new energy modules for cars. This makes Tesla's electric cars, which are full of batteries, very useless. With the energy modules provided by Stark Group, the range of new energy vehicles is off the charts. It is easy to reach a driving range of 1,000 kilometers. If 2 energy modules are used like 2 batteries in a battery car, then the range of 2,000 kilometers can already meet the needs of most people for long-distance travel. In addition, Stark Group cooperates with major car dealers in the world to instantly spread the energy module replacement business to 4S stores of major car dealers around the world. Tesla, which originally prided itself on technology and new energy, instantly lost all its advantages. Now their boss should be scratching his head and thinking about how to prevent the company from going bankrupt. The industries related to Starport Sky City are taking off, and everyone in the world is looking forward to the day when humans really build an extraterrestrial starport. Because this represents a big step forward for humans into the space universe. The Earth is really too narrow, so narrow that it can no longer accommodate the exploding population growth. Conflicts and struggles have been constantly erupting over key survival factors such as land, energy, and food. If humans do not want to be destroyed by internal friction, they must advance into outer space. From a certain perspective, human civilization has always been an outward expanding civilization. We are so damn good at giving birth. So since the establishment of Starport Sky City, Captain Rogers has focused his work on Sky City. Today is no exception. He was originally going to take the Ark spacecraft to Sky City to inspect the progress of the entire project, but Li Ji's sudden message disrupted his work plan for today. But it's disrupted, because Li Ji brought even worse news. There is a race called Dark Elves in the Dark who are eyeing the Earth. They want to plot for the space gems. Captain Rogers strode in the Venus base and complained to Li Ji beside him, why did this happen at this time? Li Ji's face was not much better than Captain Rogers. He also had a serious face. It's probably Murphy's Law. As long as things have the possibility of going in the wrong direction, they will definitely go in the worst direction. There is also a saying that good fortune never comes alone, and misfortune never comes alone. Captain Rogers stopped and paused. Yes, misfortune never comes alone. They have arrived at the door of the Illuminati's meeting room. In the meeting room, the bigwigs of the Illuminati gathered together. Because they all got the bad news, the news that the Dark Elves might invade. At the round conference table, the bigwigs had serious expressions. Thor was the most serious person. This time he made an exception and did not eat and drink or sleep and drool in the meeting. Instead, he held the meeting seriously. Because the news was brought by his sister, and the Dark Elves and Asgard are still involved. So at the meeting, Professor Charles asked Thor directly, how much do you know about the Dark Elves? Not much, but not a little either. Thor's expression was serious. I have dealt with them a lot. They are a group of lunatics. Before I was born, Odin led the army to repel the invasion of the Dark Elves several times in the Elf Kingdom. We have fought on many planets. No matter the outcome of the war, the final result is that these planets will become a scorched earth and there will be no life and no habitation. The Dark Elves are a group of lunatics, real lunatics, a group of fanatics. Thor's introduction was simple, but everyone had already outlined a rough impression in their hearts. Fierce, crazy, and unscrupulous, using any means to achieve their goals. This is the impression that the Dark Elves gave to everyone. If the news is true, no matter whether the Dark Elves come here to start a war, I'm afraid the Earth will be uninhabitable. We can drive them away and defeat them. Asgard can help the Earth and even directly participate in the war. With the addition of Master Ancient One, it is not difficult for us to defend the Earth, but we cannot guarantee that the Earth will not be damaged. Thor said dryly. The Dark Elves have many props that can completely change the form of matter. They always make other planets like the Dark Ages. This kind of environment is suitable for the Dark Elves to live in, but it is a sure death for humans. It's not difficult to defeat them. I can go back to Asgard and recruit troops immediately. But even if we win the military operation, we can't guarantee that the result will be good at the strategic level. Thor said the worst-case scenario. Maybe many places on Earth will become barren land because of the Dark Elves' props. FXXK. Tony cursed. Dr. Banner and Dr. Hank looked at each other and both of them looked unhappy. Now the Earth civilization has not yet left the Earth to become a cosmic civilization. If a large piece of land that is not suitable for human habitation appears on the Earth, it will not be good news for everyone. We may need more military preparations. Tony expressed his thoughts, if the Dark Elves really want to come. At the meeting, Leegi put forward a different opinion. I said, why don't we just return the cosmic cube to Asgard? Chapter 920. Whoever proposes, solves. Just throw it to Asgard. Everyone looked at Leegi. Although Leegi's proposal seemed not very righteous, it was quite in his style. Many things in this world are like this. It's better not to do it if you can talk nonsense. And for the Earth, it is definitely better to let Asgard take the lead than to face the threat of the Dark Elves directly. Just throw the space gem to Asgard. However, Leegi's proposal was not immediately agreed by others, because there is also a Prince of Asgard in the Illuminati. Although at present, this prince plays a role similar to a cute pet more often. Leegi's proposal obviously requires Thor's consent, so the bigwigs of the Illuminati all cast their eyes on Thor to see what he would do. When Thor heard Leegi's proposal, his face sank for a while, but he didn't jump out and swing his hammer to hit Leegi. You are really a good friend. Thor's face sank a little. It looks like he is about to get angry. He just said that he was going to Asgard to ask for reinforcements to help defend the Earth, and in a blink of an eye, Leegi is going to sell himself out? Don't be angry, this is just a suggestion from me, it doesn't have to be implemented completely. Leegi said, don't be angry yet. I thought Loki would like the space gem. Thor frowned, what do you mean? Leegi shrugged, it doesn't mean anything. There's nothing wrong with liking gems, right? Thor's brows were locked tighter. He didn't think that what Leegi said was meaningless. Because he lived under the same roof with the man in front of him and worked with him for so long, Thor knew very well that the man in front of him actually had a complicated mind. Many seemingly unintentional things sometimes have various meanings inside, but they will not appear for a long time. What does he mean by saying this now? Loki wants gems? Did Loki say it or did he guess? Thor fell into deep thought. However, Leegi ignored Thor, who was lost in thought. He continued, I don't think it's a good idea to leave the cosmic cube on Earth anyway. As he spoke, Leegi looked at Captain Rogers. Before this incident, I had already proposed that the cosmic cube should be handed over to Asgard. Captain Rogers nodded, yes, but the cosmic cube is too complicated. Although the National Security Council cannot directly intervene in the operation of S.H.I.E.L.D., it will never allow S.H.I.E.L.D. to hand over the cosmic cube. It won't work anyway. Even if we tell those people today that the Dark Elves are going to invade, they probably won't let it go. Instead, they think this thing is very important and precious. They think that as long as they study it thoroughly, they will be invincible. Captain Rogers simply and clearly stated the greed of a group of bigwigs in the Security Council. This is indeed easy to understand, because they have never seen the Dark Elves, and they don't understand the threats inside. But the cosmic cube is in their hands. Will they give up their existing interests because of a threat that is not yet certain? Impossible. I think Jason's suggestion is right. The cosmic cube is not very useful in our hands. S.H.I.E.L.D. has been studying the cosmic cube for so long, but in fact, it has not developed many truly useful things. Apart from some weapons, which are not awesome enough to destroy the world, we have nothing. Tony agreed with Leegi. In fact, our technology has not yet reached the stage where we can study such cosmic items. For us now, this thing has more disadvantages than advantages. In the past, our Earth was isolated and deserted, and there were no alien visitors. Maybe the cosmic cube was safe in this corner and would not attract the attention of others. But we are now heading towards the cosmic age, and if the plan goes well, we will have to deal with the Nova Corps in the future, and we may come into contact with various alien civilizations. Tony touched his stubble and thought seriously. If more and more alien civilizations come and go, can we still keep this secret? S.H.I.E.L.D.'s treasure house is not perfect and unconquerable. And Dr. Banner also agreed with Tony's point of view. Yes, maybe in the long run, probably thousands of years later, it is wrong for us to give up the cosmic cube. But at this point in time we must make a choice, otherwise it is very likely that the Earth will have no future. Leegi made a summary here. It is impossible for us to perfectly defend the Earth in the face of the dual offensive of the Chitauri and the Dark Elves. In fact, we may not be able to withstand the Chitauri and need the support of the Nova Corps. And this is why we have to hold on to the Nova Corps. Why do we give Star-Lord and his men good food, drink and fun on Pluto, and treat them like a big boss? Because we are still waiting for them to say good things to the Nova Corps later. As Li Ji said this, Thor felt as if a light bulb had flashed in his head. Nova Corps? Hey, it seems good. Maybe it was because he had lived with someone for too long. Thor had passively awakened some skills, so he immediately responded after Li Ji finished speaking, how about we secretly steal the Tesseract, and then give it to Star-Lord and the others? Let them take it back to Nova Corps. Thor said this, and the more he spoke, the more he felt that his idea was particularly good. In this way, the Earth is not only a cultural and logistical support base for the Nova Corps, but also contributes the Tesseract. This way, we can directly use the Tesseract to ask the Nova Corps to send reinforcements directly to the Earth to defeat the Chitauri. Thor's eyes flashed as he said these words. In this way, the Chitauri are solved, and the Dark Elves will have to face the Nova Corps directly if they want to get the Tesseract. And the Nova Corps is fully capable of defeating the Dark Elves. What do you think of my idea? The other bigwigs in the Illumination looked at Thor blankly, and after a long while, Professor Charles clapped his hands and said, when you meet a man after 3 days, you should look at him with new eyes. Thor, your idea is excellent. The first to applaud was Professor Charles, followed by Captain Rogers, and then everyone began to applaud. The applause was blasted. It was the first time Thor received such warm applause in an internal meeting of the Illuminati. This made him a little vain. Just as Thor's weight was swelling from more than 200 kilograms to more than 500 kilograms, Li Ji's voice interrupted in the applause. Then in accordance with the principle of whoever proposes is responsible, the operation of this matter will be handed over to you, Thor. As soon as Li Ji finished speaking, the applause became even more enthusiastic, leaving Thor no chance to regret. Li Ji clapped his hands hard while thinking, finally, I don't have to do the dirty work. Every time I take action, my personality is about to collapse. I still have to save my personality. And, Loki, this proposal was made by your brother, not me. Li Ji smiled and sincerely blessed Thor's intelligence. The Guardians of the Galaxy, who were playing happily in the Pluto starport, did not know that a difficult and glorious mission was about to fall on their heads. Star-Lord Quill, who was standing in New York's Times Square, didn't know that he was going to escort another interstellar mission. P.S. On the last day of the month, please vote for your monthly tickets, brothers. Then, from the 1st to the 7th of next month, the monthly tickets will be doubled. We need your support, thank you. Chapter 921, Star-Lord Quill's New York Adventure. Standing in the center of Times Square in New York, Star-Lord Quill was in a state of excitement. Under the arrangement of the Illuminati, Quill once again set foot on the land of Earth, carrying with him $50,000 personally supported by Li Ji. Earth, my hometown, my mother, I am back again. Standing in the center of Times Square, Quill shouted from the bottom of his heart. He took a deep breath and felt the air of freedom and democracy on the land of America. And his shouting attracted the sidelong glances of countless passers-by, but it was just a sidelong glance. After all, this is New York, this is Times Square, and it is not strange to see any strange people. Look, there was just a scene of 2 stormtroopers assassinating the Sith Emperor. Maybe it was to promote the newly released Star Wars 8. And this guy in a red leather jacket is another wave of promotion. But this promotion is a bit careless. Wearing a leather jacket and not even putting on makeup, he pretended to be an alien by reciting a line, Earth, my hometown, my mother, I am back again. Question mark? Too bad, when did the Hollywood film producers become so careless? Star-Lord Quill, who was regarded as a temporary actor by a group of passers-by, was not affected by other people's emotions at all. It was a rare trip back to Earth, especially to New York, so he had to take a good look around New York. To be honest, he was still very young when he left Earth, and the place where he lived was also a small place. Although he has traveled all over the galaxy in recent years and has seen a lot of things. But for Earth, this place is familiar and unfamiliar to Quill. This is his hometown, but he has never really seen the true face of this hometown. So Li Ji specially gave Star-Lord a chance to travel at public expense. $50,000 is enough to spend a few days in the United States, and you can live a very chic life. Star-Lord Quill's surfing journey started from the hot dog stand next to Times Square. Oh, I haven't seen this kind of hot dog before. It's bigger than the ones I've eaten before. Star-Lord stood in front of the stall and looked at the hot dogs sold by the stall owner with interest. While saying this, he gestured the length. I remember that hot dogs are not this big. Are the ones you sell really hot dogs? Star-Lord gestured about a length of about 10 centimeters. The stall owner looked at Star-Lord and answered with a nasal voice, I sell hot dogs with frankfurters. It's written on the sign. Not all sausages are as short as yours. Frankfurters are 20 centimeters long, which is indeed much longer than ordinary sausages. But Star-Lord felt that this stall owner seemed a little arrogant. Did he think I couldn't afford his sausages? Why did he speak to me with a nasal voice? Frankfurter sausage is German style, and I also sell fried blood sausage and fried sauerkraut, authentic German food. The stall owner continued to speak in a nasal voice, you just haven't seen these. Huh. Who said I haven't seen them? Star-Lord thought of the happy days and rich food at Pluto Starport. I've eaten blood sausage and sauerkraut. It's not German food at all, it's Northeast China food, isn't it? Blood sausage stewed with sauerkraut and pork. Oh, by the way, they call it pig-killing food. Bullshit. The stall owner seemed very annoyed that Star-Lord disagreed with his opinion. Blood sausage and sauerkraut are German. Chinese. German. Chinese. The stall owner pointed at Quill's nose and said, are you still an American? Do you still love your country? Star-Lord touched his nose. Yes, he's an American. But does this have anything to do with which country the sauerkraut and blood sausage are from? Besides, he has been an internationalist fighter for so many years since he left Earth. Star-Lord doesn't care about nationality at all. He didn't have time to study for long in school. He couldn't even recite the names of American leaders other than Washington and Lincoln. And Star-Lord Quill's favorite thing was to argue with others, especially on Earth. Earthlings are always very kind, aren't they? Arguing with them is not like those aliens who would pick up weapons and fight at every turn. Just when Star-Lord was arguing with the stall owner for fun, the stall owner saw that he couldn't win the argument with Star-Lord, so he simply came out from behind the stall, holding a stainless steel shovel in his hand, and his face was furious. Sauerkraut and blood sausage are from Germany. He roared and was about to pounce. Star-Lord turned and ran. Oh, isn't Earth very kind? Why do they start fighting at the slightest disagreement? When did Earthlings become so violent? After running a few hundred meters, Star-Lord got rid of the stall owner and ran to the door of a cinema. A huge poster of Star Wars, The Last Jedi was posted on the outer wall of the cinema. Wow, this movie has already been released to the 8th installment. Star-Lord felt a little unbelievable, because when he was a child, he watched the old version of the Star Wars trilogy in the 1970s, and watched the new trilogy at Pluto Starport. Later, he watched The Force Awakens and Rogue One. As a result, The Last Jedi is now released. Star-Lord originally liked the Star Wars series very much, after all, it is a childhood memory. But after watching 8 Star Wars movies in a row, Star-Lord has become aesthetically fatigued. Especially the latest 2 movies, The Force Awakens and Rogue One. Rogue One is not mentioned. What is The Force Awakens about? However, as a childhood sentiment, Star-Lord finally couldn't resist the impulse to pay for the ticket to watch it. After watching the movie for 2.5 hours, Quill walked out of the theater cursing, "Fuck you, I will never pay for my childhood sentiment again. What is this? This movie can't be sent to Novacore." Just as Quill was walking and cursing, a group of Star Wars fans wearing Star Wars cos uniforms happened to hear it. A man dressed as the Sith Emperor pointed at Quill and said loudly, "Wait, what did you just say? Say it again if you have the guts." "You are not allowed to say it because it is badly made," Quill retorted mercilessly. "Shut up. Do you want to ruin the Star Wars series, ruin the childhood feelings of countless people, and ruin the foundation of American movies?" The Sith Emperor was extremely angry. Huh? Things that cheat money by using childhood feelings, just destroy them. Only by completely destroying them and making new ones can they make them better. Quill didn't care about the opinions of these people at all. "I am an internationalist fighter. Shut up. I think you want to destroy America." The Sith Emperor waved his hand, and several stormtroopers who came with him began to rush towards Star-Lord Quill. Oh my god. Are people on Earth so violent now? Just a few words are taken too far and they have to fight. Quill turned and ran, not because he was worried that he couldn't beat them, but because he was afraid of accidentally killing these fragile compatriots. This is the truth. As a guy who has been in various dangerous areas of the interstellar for many years, Star-Lord's combat power is not comparable to these ordinary people. Aha. Star-Lord stood on a high-rise building in New York City with his hands on his hips and sighed. New York is terrible. The people here are not friendly at all. Forget it, I'd better go to the countryside. Oh, by the way, I have to meet Sam and talk to him about joining the Nova Corps. By the way, he lives in Arizona? I wonder if he will pass by Las Vegas. Star-Lord Quill had heard of Las Vegas when he was a child, but he had never seen it. This time he really wanted to see it. Even if he didn't pass by, Quill could make himself pass by. P.S. Happy New Year to all book friends. From the 1st to the 7th is the double monthly ticket day. Please support all book friends who have monthly tickets. Chapter 922. Do you have $200,000? Loki was here. Leegi held Lan in his arms, and he told her everything, and she came to see me. Did you know that she is actually a woman? Huh? Lying in Leegi's arms, Lan snorted with her nose, and then glanced at Leegi with her eyes. She used her nasal sound to signal Leegi to continue. Loki is a beauty, a great beauty. I don't know why Odin and his family concealed Loki's gender, but she is indeed a woman. Leegi held Lan and said calmly, and she seemed to be a little interested in me, or something. Huh? Lan sat up. Her eyes flickered, and then she touched Leegi's chest with her soft little hand. Oh? So what? I refused. Leegi said righteously, you know, I will not be easily corrupted by money and beauty. I said I want you to accompany me for the rest of my life, so you accompany me. You can't run away. Huh. Lan slapped Leegi's hand around her waist. She stood up and supported Leegi's shoulders with her hands. Then why do you want to tell me about this? Do you want some benefits? Well, I don't mind if you want to give it to me. Leegi remained calm. It's just that I think I need to tell you about this. I'm afraid you're lying. Lan pushed Leegi to lie on the sofa. Master Ancient One has long known that Loki is a woman, and Odin did not hide it from him. And I know it too, and I also know that Loki is a very proud woman. She likes you? Forget it, she won't be as blind as me. Leegi, who was lying on the sofa, stretched out his hand and hugged Lan. If anyone dares to say that you are blind, I will dig out her eyeballs. Look at this pair of beautiful big eyes. What is the difference between them and the stars in the sky? You are flattering too obviously. Lan poked Leegi's nose with her index finger in a somewhat arrogant manner. Leegi said indifferently, so, respected Master Mage, do you like to be flattered like this? Yes. Lan answered without hesitation, without any pretense. After she finished speaking, she couldn't help laughing. After laughing in Leegi's arms for a long time, Lan straightened up and asked, seriously, why did Luoji look for you? Don't tell me that she likes you or something, I don't believe it at all. What if Luoji stood in front of you and said that to you? Leegi poked Lan's tender little face with his finger. That depends on the situation. But Loki? I'm not familiar with her, but I also know that her priesthood is the god of lies. I heard that her reputation in Asgard has surpassed Thor. This is not a simple woman. If she plays tricks, I should not be her opponent. Lan replied after lying on Leegi's chest, listening to Leegi's heartbeat and thinking for a while. I will probably think about what her purpose is. Then I will consider whether what she said is true or false. Because sometimes, some things may not be true even if you see them with your own eyes. Just like the illusion of magic. Leegi smiled. Lan is much smarter than he thought. And it's right for him to confess today, otherwise it will be terrible if he really floats in the universe one day. Leegi's tight breath was relieved. He hugged Lan who was lying on him and said, in fact, Loki came to me for the cosmic cube. Then Leegi told Lan all the words that Loki had said before. And it also included the attack of the Dark Elves. Is this true? Lan sat up after hearing this, her expression was a little solemn. It should be true. Leegi was still lying down. He didn't look as anxious as Lan. Leegi just frowned slightly as if he was thinking about something. Aren't you in a hurry at all? Oh, I'm going to talk to Master Ancient One about this. Lan was about to open the space gate and return to Kamartaki. But Leegi stopped her. Wait, I always feel that things are not that simple. What do you mean it's not that simple? If the news about Loki is true, then we are in big trouble. All the mages in Kamartaki need to gather together. We need to set up a layer of defense barrier, otherwise if the Dark Elves fight a ground battle on Earth, our homeland will be completely destroyed. Lan looked a little anxious. Okay, really don't be so anxious. Leegi hugged Lan, because I don't think Loki is trustworthy. Lan looked at Li Ji with some doubts. In fact, I have never been particularly trusting Loki. I don't particularly trust either Loki or Loki. This will not change because he suddenly became a big beauty and changed from him to her. Li Ji said seriously. Because this is an elusive person. No one can guess what she is thinking and what she wants. If the Dark Elves should attack, they should not come to me. Instead, they should go directly to the Ancient One, right? Although she said that the Ancient One is old and his thinking is slow. But in the end, the Ancient One is the strongest guardian of the earth. We are nothing in front of him. Even if the Ancient One was not at the scene, Li Ji still flattered the Supreme Mage. After all, his adopted daughter is in his arms, so why not say something nice? This is an excuse, but I still don't believe her. Although she didn't explain anything, all the topics are guiding and inducing me. Let me understand that all the troubles come from the cosmic cube. Li Ji said this, and Lan hummed softly, which was considered to agree with Li Ji's words. Words? She is a little too confident in using words on me. Although I am not a god of lies, I am not a fool. Lan nodded in agreement. Yes, your lies can be used as textbooks. I am an upright person. Li Ji protested to Lan. Lan shook his head to show that his protest was ineffective. Well, anyway, I always feel that Loki's plan is the cosmic cube. She wants to trick me into handing the cube over to her. Because doing so is indeed very much my style. If you can solve the problem without taking action, it is best not to do it, and let others solve it. Lan leaned on Li Ji's shoulder. So? What are you going to do? Protect the cosmic cube and have a decisive battle with the Dark Elves? Huh? That's not my style. Li Ji immediately shook his head. Actually, I need you to do me a favor. I plan to hand over the cosmic cube to Nova Corps and see what the Ancient One thinks. Lan stared at Li Ji with wide eyes. What do you mean? The Nova Corps has the ability to completely defeat the Dark Elves in the universe. And as I told you before, the Chitauri are coming too. I think we should either take this opportunity to let the Nova Corps join forces with the Earth to completely eliminate these threats at one time. At the same time, let the Earth lean on the big tree of the Nova Corps. Let us gain a firm foothold in the subsequent development of civilization. Li Ji kissed Lan's hair and whispered to her, I want to see what the Ancient One thinks. Maybe we will lose the cosmic cube forever. If he thinks it's worth it, then I will let it go. I will work hard to push the Earth into a new era. Lan looked into Li Ji's eyes. Then who will you let handle the Nova Corps? We already have an insider. The Guardians of the Galaxy, the non-staff members of the Nova Corps, me and their Captain Star-Lord. Before Li Ji finished speaking, his cell phone rang. Li Ji took out his cell phone and took a look. This was the number he had temporarily applied for Quill on Earth. He asked him to contact him in case of emergency. Li Ji frowned and turned on the answer button. He didn't have time to ask Star-Lord Quill what happened. He only heard Star-Lord Quill gasping and saying to Li Ji, quick, do you have $200,000? What? Li Ji didn't react. I said, do you have $200,000? Send it to me quickly. Quill sounded very anxious. Li Ji became serious. Where are you? Quill, Las Vegas, Caesar's Palace. Li Ji. Chapter 923 I'll send you to do the real thing. Las Vegas, the most famous gambling city in the world, is also the most famous gold-consuming nest in the world. There are many legends circulating here. It is said that someone lost tens of millions of dollars or even more in one night, and never recovered from it. There is also a legend that someone won tens of millions of dollars overnight and became a multimillionaire in an instant. However, people who have been in Las Vegas for many years will tell you that most of the winnings are heard, and most of the losses are seen with their own eyes. Anyway, no matter what, it will never be gamblers who make money in Las Vegas. The real big winners are only those casinos, that's all. The owners of these casinos are often generous and spend a lot of money. In order to attract more guests to play in their casinos, they are willing to spend a lot of money to invite the top stars from all walks of life to perform on the spot, and the top chefs to wield the kitchen knives in the hotel. From Celine Dion to Whitney Houston to Taylor Swift, casino owners spend a lot of money and offer irresistible prices to make these big stars willing to perform in the casino. Gordon Ramsay, who has the highest personal honor and is the most famous chef in the chef world, was also invited to open his restaurant in the casino to attract customers with his status as a world-class chef. In many cases, casino owners appear to be very generous, but at the same time, They are extremely stingy and penny-pinching. For example, when a gambler uses deception to cheat and wants to get something for nothing. When Li Ji saw Quill, he was locked in an office. More than 30 armed guards were pointing their guns at him. The manager of the casino pointed at Quill and said to Li Ji, "Mr. Li, your friend is a bit too much? He exchanged nearly $50,000 in chips and played here for 2 days. We welcome gamblers to come and play with us. But this does not mean that we welcome gamblers to cheat. If the gambling losses are too much, we will provide Mr. Quill with a return ticket and a food voucher." The casino manager had a big greasy hair and spoke meticulously. He looked more like the dean of a private aristocratic school than a casino manager. The manager continued, "But if you lose the bet and still want to use tricks to make up for it, this is beyond our bottom line. Gambling is about winning and losing. Winning is naturally gratifying. But if you lose, you have to be able to afford it." Li Ji glanced at the manager and said, "Anyway, your casino is right." Li Ji's words were a little angry, which was natural. Just now he was lying on the sofa and talking to his girlfriend, and now he has to fly to Las Vegas for a phone call. Anyone would be angry, okay? Especially Li Ji has never had a good impression of the gambling industry. Although he knows that gambling is almost human nature and cannot be eliminated, this still doesn't make him like the gambling industry. "Okay, let him go." Li Ji pointed at the tied Quill and said to the manager, 200,000, I will transfer it to you later." The manager didn't care about Li Ji's bad tone. He knew Li Ji because the movie Iron Man has been popular all over the world since its release, and the global box office has reached a global total of $1.4 billion by the end of the period. As an investor, Marvel Entertainment Group also saw its value rise because of this movie. Especially after this movie, Marvel Entertainment announced plans to make more superhero movies. The great success of Iron Man has made the industry see the strength of Marvel Entertainment. Now Marvel Entertainment controls almost all the copyrights of heroes on the market. In addition to Iron Man, there are also Captain Rogers, Spider-Man of New York, Dark Knight Crawler, the second-rate organization Avengers and Kick-Ass Justice League, Daredevil and a series of other important copyrights. Before these IPs broke out, no one thought they would be so valuable, and now the box office explosion of the Iron Man movie has instantly increased the market valuation of Marvel Entertainment. And it has begun to have its own reputation around the world. Just like Li Ji's current net worth has also risen instantly, the Iron Man movie has brought at least $200 million in profits to Marvel Entertainment, and the movie peripherals that followed are even more steady. Young Li Ji has begun to emerge in the entertainment industry. The previous co-production of Iron Man with Disney was because Marvel Entertainment itself was not deeply involved in the film industry. After the first film was finished, the company had already begun to really get involved in Hollywood, had its own connections, and mastered the basic operation of the film. The next film would not involve Disney, and Li Ji also believed that Marvel Entertainment could operate well. Now his exposure and popularity are not less. The 20-year-old entertainment group boss, and his first movie was a big hit. In addition to the increasingly smooth sailing of the comics and animation industry, Li Ji's photos have frequently appeared on the covers of various entertainment magazines. So it is not surprising that the casino manager knows this young rich man in front of him, because for the casino, the most willing to spend money in the casino are various Hollywood stars and bigwigs in the entertainment industry besides those black players, football, basketball, rugby. Most of them live a life of luxury, and the 20-year-old Li Ji is obviously a customer that the casino needs to attract. So the manager didn't care whether Li Ji's tone was aggressive or not, he just waved his hand to let the other security guards let go of Star-Lord. After Li Ji paid the money and took Star-Lord away, the manager also gave Li Ji a card to indicate that he didn't know that this person was Li Ji's friend before. Here is a VIP card for Li Ji. Welcome to come to Caesar's Palace next time. They will provide a free one-night top-class room worth $30,000. Li Ji smiled. These casino owners are really good at doing business. Giving you $30,000 is to make back $300,000 or $3 million from you. If you hadn't taken away all my equipment, I would definitely not have been caught by these guys. Walking out of the casino, Star-Lord Quill was still complaining, I told you to at least leave me a particle gun. Li Ji rolled his eyes at Star-Lord Quill. Are you keeping it for you to kill people after you're found out? I think it's right for us to take it. And shouldn't you be going to Arizona to meet Sam and his mother? What are you doing here? Quill shrugged, it's on the way, I just want to see what the casino looks like. Huh. Lee Ji was almost laughing. Arizona and Las Vegas are on the way? They're completely opposite, okay. Actually, it can be on the way. Star-Lord forced himself to say, and I think the gambling industry here is particularly developed and has an addictive tendency. I came here to investigate and see if I can simulate the appearance of Las Vegas and move it to Nova Core. Their gambling level is very good at capturing the hearts of customers, making them always feel that they can make a comeback, and then continue to bet. I was tricked into cheating because of this method. They are very accurate in catching gamblers. It is much better than the casinos I have seen in other parts of the universe. There are also various performances, shows, and beautiful women who follow you around. Oh my god. This place is too awesome. I want to take it back to Nova Core. No. Lee Ji denied it directly. Are you kidding? Moving Las Vegas to the Nova Core is going to be a big deal. Will the Nova Core still maintain world peace in the future? Just let them protect their paper wives and follow the updates of unscrupulous authors. If they are still addicted to gambling, I am afraid that the members of the Nova Core will greet each other every day in the future. Brother, stable. Why should I pay back the money I borrowed with my own ability? We are having dinner at Shaxson Hotel today. Forget it, I want a combat-ready Nova Core, not the big brothers in the gambling addiction club, okay. Lee Ji pushed Quill and said, okay, let's go. I think you should not stay on Earth for too long. Otherwise, I can't save you from gambling. Go and do your business. As Quill was being pushed by Lee Ji, he asked, what business? Of course, I'm going to see Sam and take him back to the Nova Core. Gambling really hurts people. They even forget what they are supposed to do. Lee Ji shook his head. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 924 Supernova. Arizona, carefree. It was another ordinary day, and there was nothing exciting here. You can't expect a small town or town with only about 10,000 people to be prosperous. On both sides of the highway that passes through the city, there are almost all the shops and entertainment venues in the city, including a Walmart supermarket, a small grocery store, 2 barber shops, a repair shop and several clothing stores. There are also 2 bars, a fast food restaurant, 2 family restaurants and a gas station. This is almost the main commercial place in the entire carefree town of Arizona. There are some branches in other places, but not many. If you want to buy more things, please drive to a big city with a population of more than 500,050 kilometers away. The whole town is quiet and peaceful, but it is unchanging and depressing. Sam walked on the street kicking cans, and the red bottle of Coca-Cola was kicked by him. This city is boring. Sam sighed deeply as he walked on the road. Compared with New York, carefree, Arizona has almost nothing. But his family is here, his little sister and mother live here. Oh, if his father hadn't left, he should have lived here too. Sam felt that he should live here too, because he had to take care of his mother and sister. He shouldn't leave, but Alice. Ever since Nightwalker talked to him that day and told him about the Nova Corps and the Guardians of the Galaxy, a bunch of weeds have been growing wildly in Sam's heart. Young boys always have fantasies of a day when they can stand out and be powerful. Sam also hopes that he can do this, establish a great reputation in the universe, and then bring a better life to his mother and sister. In this way, his mother doesn't have to worry about the living expenses of himself and his sister while working in the supermarket every day. If he can become a real superhero, Mindy and Laura will look at him differently. They won't treat him as a follower anymore, right? Compared to the heroes in the Night Watch base, Sam feels that he has no special advantages. He is timid and powerless. He knows that it is difficult for such a boy to attract the attention of girls, and girls like those cool boys. I am not cool at all, and I can't tell jokes to make girls laugh. Apart from running errands for Mindy and Laura, I don't know how to attract girls. Maybe only when I become a superhero, a hero admired by thousands of people on Earth, will they really notice my existence. Not as an errand boy, but a real superhero like Iron Man. The feelings of boys are always poetic, especially the hearts of young boys who are in love always have endless inner dramas. Sam wants to have a different life, but he doesn't know how to tell his mother. She has lost her father, although she has been saying that her father will definitely come back. But when will that be? If I leave home at this time, will she be happy? Sam doesn't know, and he doesn't dare to think about it. He doesn't know how to start. But he is waiting, because Nightwalker said that the Guardians of the Galaxy may come to talk to him and his mother. Thinking about these messy things, Sam has returned home. He opened the door and shouted to the house, "Mom, I'm back." Today was his mother, Ms. Eva, who is on duty. At this time, she would usually prepare dinner for the family in the kitchen, while his little sister would sit in the living room and watch TV. When she heard Sam coming back, his sister Karen would run to the door to greet him. But today, Sam shouted to the room, but no one responded. Sam was a little strange. He moved a little inside and found that there seemed to be strangers in the house today. Because from the corridor, he could hear someone talking in the living room. One of them was his mother, and there were 3 other strange men. And his mother seemed to be shouting loudly, "No." Sam had a bad feeling in his heart, and he immediately put on the helmet that was always in his school bag and instantly changed into a new Star Warrior. He was not sure whether the people in the room had any ill will towards his family. But he had to be prepared to protect his family at any time. After the transformation, Sam instantly flew into the living room from the entrance hallway, and said in a very imposing manner, "Let go of that lady." The rising star Sam was full of momentum, and several people in the living room were somewhat stunned by his appearance. Then a slightly teasing male voice said to Sam's mother, "Ms. Eva, look, I said this child is not simple." It seems to be completely different from what he expected. Now Sam looked around the living room. His mother Eva was sitting on the sofa and staring at him. The 3 strange men who just heard the voice were standing on the other side. A strange man in a red jacket, who looked a little handsome but always gave people an inexplicable sense of humor. A handsome middle-aged man in a casual suit with a beautiful beard, and next to him stood a black and gold steel armor. Another one was a man with a strong body and a kind smile but a very handsome temperament. "Oh my God, Iron Man and Captain Rogers. Why are you in my house?" Sam shouted in disbelief. He didn't know the guy in the red jacket, but he was very familiar with Iron Man and Captain Rogers. It should be said that the whole world is familiar with them, the 2 most famous superheroes in the world. And now these 2 people actually appeared in his home? Oh no, I was a little too excited just now. It seems that I said this is my home, so it seems that my identity has been exposed. Sam looked in the direction of his mother Eva, and his mother's face froze for a moment, and then she sighed heavily. Her expression had a sense of expectedness. On the other side, Iron Man Tony Stark pointed at Sam wearing a Nova uniform and said, "It's nice to meet you, Sam, but I would be even happier if you could stop flying and stand in front of me and chat with me." Sam flew down from the sky a little at a loss. He landed beside his mother and said softly, "I'm sorry, Mom, Don't say it. I understand." Eva didn't look at her son, and there was a hint of hesitation in her eyes. The man in the red jacket opposite said in an incredible tone, "That's right, that's right. This is Richard Reed's equipment. It's him, that's him." Supernova. Chapter 925. A distant place. The people who came to Sam's house were naturally Star-Lord Quill, Tony Stark and Captain Rogers. Because he was detained by the casino after losing money in Las Vegas, Star-Lord Quill had to ask Lee G for help. After that, Lee G unilaterally announced that he would end Quill's trip to Earth. What if this guy ran into an entertainment venue next time and decided to stay on Earth? You know, according to Quill, whether it's the Nova Corps or other civilizations in the universe, they are not as fun as Earth. Quill shouted loudly, "Earth entertainment, the universe is the first." For the future of the Earth, Lee G asked Quill to stop his trip to Earth first and do serious things. And the serious thing is naturally to discuss with Sam about joining the Nova Corps. However, the Illuminati also consider that if Star-Lord Quill came alone, he would definitely not have any persuasiveness. After all, who on Earth has heard of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and who knows Star-Lord Quill? It would be a ghost if Sam's mother could believe his empty words. So in order to increase Quill's credibility, Tony and Rogers also came together. With the endorsement of Iron Man and Captain America, it can at least prove that Quill is not a liar. After seeing Sam, Quill seemed very excited. Because he almost recognized at a glance that the Nova helmet on Sam's head was different. Although it is a Centurion's helmet, it is different from other Centurion helmets. It has a higher energy allocation quota and higher command power. This is a Centurion-level supernova helmet with the highest authority of the Nova Corps. And the only person who has been awarded this helmet in these years is Richard. Many people in the Nova Corps have heard of Richard's deeds. His status in the Nova Corps is like Captain Rogers' status on Earth. So Quill was very excited to see Sam. You put on your father's helmet and it can be activated. Prove that Richard has transferred his authority to you. You are the next supernova. What? Me? Supernova? Sam was a little confused. Sam's mother Eva sighed. Maybe she had expected that this day might come, but she didn't dare to think about it. Her husband is a superhero. Is her son going to follow the same path? Yes, Sam, I have heard of your name. Your father is a great hero, greater than you can imagine. He has saved the galaxy from danger countless times and maintained peace in this turbulent universe. Quill stared at Sam and said, You have inherited your father's glory now. Sam took off his Nova helmet and looked at his mother. Eva also looked at her son. She smiled and touched Sam's hair. I told you that your father is a great man. But you never believed it and thought that what he said was just some stories. Sam looked at his mother and said nothing. And Quill spoke. So, Ms. Eva, please think carefully about what I just said. On Earth, Sam can only be an ordinary person. He needs to go to the Nova Corps for training. Only there can he get formal training. And the authority of the helmet can be completely unlocked. Nova warriors should not hide on Earth. They should fly freely in the galaxy. That's where he should be. I am a member of the Nova Corps, and I am also an Earthling. I went to outer space in my childhood, and I just told you all these things. I can assure you that if Sam is willing to join the Nova Corps, I will do my best to take care of him. Quill said sincerely, You know the Nova Corps, right? I think Richard must have told you a lot of things. Eva was silent for a while and said, Yes, he said a lot of things. Originally, Nova warriors were not supposed to marry and have children while serving, and he violated this rule. He fell in love with me and gave birth to Sam. For this, he abandoned all the honors of the Nova Corps and returned to Earth to live an ordinary life. So, Sam should go back to inherit his father's glory and unfinished mission. Quill said very seriously, The Legion has been looking for Richard. Even if it is his son, this is also an explanation to the Legion. No, I don't agree. Eva rejected it without thinking. Richard has left. Maybe he has some unspeakable secrets, but I can't let Sam leave me too. Mom. Sam looked at his mother and wanted to say something, but was glared back by Eva. Eva continued, Nova warrior, it sounds glorious. But it is extremely dangerous. I know it very well. Otherwise, Richard would not leave us. He must be afraid that many things he did in the past have caused many enemies, and these enemies may seek revenge on him, so he stays away from us. I can't let my child live in danger, even if he is an ordinary person. It's better to be a cashier at a gas station for a lifetime than to be a hero with a majestic face. Eva seemed very strong, and she didn't seem to give in on this point. Quill looked at Tony and then at Captain Rogers. Captain Rogers stood up, shook his head and said with a sigh, Ms. Eva, it may not be so safe to stay on Earth. Eva looked at Captain Rogers, asking him why with her eyes. There are some things I shouldn't tell you because they involve many secrets. But for you and your son, I think I have to tell you. Captain Rogers' expression was serious. In fact, the Earth is facing a difficult time. We are about to face a blow from alien civilization. What? Eva's eyes widened. Captain Rogers continued, I can't reveal too much about the details, but I can guarantee that this news is true. We need to be prepared for the battle, and I hope you won't reveal this news. In fact, we are looking for help, people or forces to help us get through this difficult time. And the Nova Corps is one of our options for help. Captain Rogers said helplessly and a little embarrassed, I feel guilty, but I really want Sam to join the Nova Corps. Eva looked at Captain Rogers, then looked at Sam and Quill, and she said with some difficulty, Is this the only choice? Captain Rogers really seemed very guilty, and he was really not suitable to let a mother sacrifice her son in front of her. Although Sam went to Nova Corps just for training, no one expected him to really participate in the frontline battlefield. Or even if he participated in the frontline battlefield, it would be many years later. But Captain Rogers was really not good at doing this kind of thing, because it made his conscience feel very uneasy, even if he was telling the truth. He was a little bit unable to just look at Eva's eyes. At this time, Captain Rogers missed Lee G. Perhaps only he could figure out how to handle all these things smoothly in such an occasion without making everyone feel uncomfortable. He is always good at creating a win-win or multi-win situation. In this regard, he and other people in the Illuminati lose to him too much? Captain Rogers is still honest. And what is Lee G, who is missed so much by Captain Rogers, doing at this time? He is grabbing Mindy and Laura to accompany him to shop online. When you go back to school, what will be particularly attractive to your classmates and make your classmates think you are so cool and handsome? In the night watch base, Lee G was looking at the two girls and asked, "What gift do you want to give us?" Mindy asked while holding Laura and raising her eyebrows. Lee G couldn't help pinching her nose. "I'm giving it to Sam." "Why give my little brother a gift?" Mindy was a little puzzled. Lee G sighed, "Because, maybe he is going to a very far place. P.S. Asking for votes." End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.